So, hello everyone. So this is Skyward Sword normal mode any percent. This is very different from your traditional Skyward Sword speedruns because most Skyward Sword speedruns are done on hero mode. For the primary reason that we get to skip cutscenes like this one at the very start. So with me to co-commentate, I have two co-commentators, CJ and Exto.
Hello, everyone.
Hello there.
Yep. So, got a bit more cutscenes to go, but this is going to be still a glitched run that's going to make use of back in time, and the fact that we can't skip cutscenes actually makes back in time pretty interesting. Because I guess the first thing to kind of mention about this is that the way that this game handles cutscene skips, and we kind of say that in hero mode you get to skip all the cutscenes, but more precisely in hero mode you get to skip all of the cutscenes that you watched on the normal mode playthrough that generated that hero mode file. So every time we finish watching a cutscene, it immediately sets the flag saying that I've watched it, and then if I encounter that cutscene again, I get to skip it. So we will be able to take advantage of this in back in time, and you'll kind of see what I mean about rewatching cutscenes.
Yeah, and the reason that not being able to skip cutscenes becomes relevant in back in time is because there are certain things that happen in cutscenes that will crash back in time, and normally we can just, hold 2 to skip the cutscene and therefore skip the crash in hero mode. But we cannot do that in normal mode because we have to watch the cutscene first. So it poses some interesting routing implications.
Yeah.
And a quick aside here, I believe you forgot to mention that the timer should be started.
Yeah.
So yes, go ahead and start the timer.
Yeah. Timer's at 2:42.
And we're finally getting to the point where we're almost gaining control of Link here.
Well, we say that, but after this first 4-minute opening cutscenes, instead of opening cutscenes, we're gonna go directly into like 7 minutes of more cutscene and then another cutscene after that. Basically, the gist of those opening cutscenes, since we are playing in Japanese because it saves a ton of time text-wise, is that Link needs to awaken as the hero, and that's really all there is to it. And the letter from Zelda is telling Link to come to the statue of the goddess.
Yeah, the conversation with Fledge there is just Fledge saying something like, what does he even say? He's
I
like,
think it's
oh,
good,
cool.
like basically just good luck in the wing ceremony.
Yeah,
he's
and
happy that he got to the wing ceremony. It's actually not important normally that you do talk to Fledge, but we do need to talk to Fledge there to set a flag in memory that we will use later on.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of this
Well,
run
actually,
is going to be memory manipulation.
we do actually get to see what that flag does a little bit later because we will use it. Well, we will actually directly use the flag rather than indirectly use it the way most speedruns use it. And that will make more sense in however many minutes it is until we actually do that in that trick. But
yeah, Skyloft in this category is remarkably long because, as 64 said earlier, normally you get to skip all the cutscenes, but well, this is really lots of lore, so there won't be any of that here.
actually, we will skip some cutscenes, but we'll have watched them first. So we get to watch every cutscene at least once.
Yeah. So the other disadvantage of normal mode is that we don't take double damage like in hero mode, and so right now we want to activate back in time, so we get to use this, what we call killing post, 6 times.
Yeah. Normally you would only have to use it 3 times because you would take 2 hearts every time you jump off, but well,
Right.
half damage, so
And it is known as killing post because it will either kill Link or your run in all categories. I'm pretty sure every category now does killing post on Skyloft at the beginning of Skyloft.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Most categories have roughly the same start because in Back in Time we can access all 3 of our files, and so we do want to get a relatively complicated file setup that does involve all 3 files. And since all runs kind of follow the same start these days, all runs will be doing this.
Although actually normal mode does the Skyloft setup a little bit different because we don't have access to a trick called file duping. Or, well, we have access to the trick, but we don't have the ability to take advantage of the implications of that trick the way we can in hero mode runs. So, because I think we kind of just skipped over it. Back in Time is a glitch that is we're going to be activating right now. Because unfortunately, we have died.
Yes.
Yep.
So, Back in Time is a glitch that exists in multiple Zelda games. 64 will be activating it by resetting his console after select to continue on the death screen there. And it will give him control of Link on the title screen. We're going to fall in here, and shoutouts to the cutscene where the Skyloft Knights, like, pick you up when you void out and drop you back down. Because without them, Back in Time would literally be useless because we would just void infinitely. But yeah, so we have access to the title screen and all of our files, which is why Back in Time is super broken in Skyward Sword.
Yeah, we can load and save data at the same time. And that's kind of one of the fundamental things that you assume players are not going to do when you make a game.
Yeah. It's basically we say no thank you to all of the concurrency fixes that the devs have put into the entirety of the game.
Yeah, so the first little thing that 64 did there in Back in Time is create what we call a corrupt file. So if you delete a file, and then while it's deleting, you try and save that file, it creates that, what you see on that third file there with a little stripe. And what that actually is a file that has most things set to a value of 0. The one that's important to us is actually Link's health. So by loading that file, you will just immediately die. And well, that seems kind of stupid, doesn't it? But then you remember that we just jumped off a post 6 times to activate Back in Time, and maybe it makes a little bit more sense now. So we will be using that to activate Back in Time a little bit.
And then the second thing that 64 did was saving a file in Back in Time, which is called a bit save, which basically sets you to be on this special version of Back in Time Skyloft. We call it the bit layer, which is basically the version that is played on the title screen. And then following that, we entered the goddess statue and picked up the goddess sword in Back in Time, and actually started our file right before the flag for obtaining the goddess sword is set, so that it actually sets in the memory of our file instead of like on the title screen. So we now have the goddess sword. And that is a trick called reverse bit magic because it's basically magic. Where bit is Back in Time, of course.
We'll be referring to it as RBM.
Yeah. And we'll see like what actual bit magic is in a little bit, but
yeah.
For now, basically, reverse bit magic, like I got the goddess sword in Back in Time, and then I started my file just before the game set the flag for it, and then I had to go into a loading zone, but after I went into the loading zone, I had the goddess sword.
Yeah.
There was also
the loading zone basically just reloads the flags, to be correct, because the game doesn't actually know we have the sword technically. Memory says we have the sword, but because we didn't have it when we loaded the file, like the assets and stuff aren't properly loaded.
So now we get this 7-minute long cutscene where we meet Zelda.
A lot happens in this 7-minute cutscene, to be fair.
And this is not a glitchless run, just to bring that up again. This is, the category is normal mode any percent. And so it's kind of the equivalent of glitchless in this game. Nobody really runs glitchless.
Yeah, the closest thing we have to glitchless in this community is no back in time, which is actually a fairly popular category. But it is basically just playing through the game casually. But
and
with
skipping cutscenes.
with cutscene skips. Normal mode no bit would be a supremely long category,
Yeah.
which, is not a bad thing. I don't think anyone has dared to run that, actually.
I
Yeah,
think
glitchless.
Indie Kenobi has, but
Indie. Classic indie.
yeah.
Now, that's not to say that glitchless runs haven't been done. I believe the quickest glitchless run I can think of was a little over 7 hours by Keitsu.
Yeah, it might have been like 6 something actually, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it was a 6. I think it was a high 6 something, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Which most people would kind of scoff at and be like, why would you ever do that? But not in this
Well,
really.
back in the day, before, back in time and everything was discovered and applied to this game, this game is a very, very solid game, all things considered. Back in time is really the only major break in this game. There are a couple of minor, text and skips that we can do in the game, which is utilized by No Back in Time, obviously. But in general, they don't skip a massive amount of the game. Back in Time is really the only thing we can do that skips, hours and hours of the game.
Well, other than play in hero mode and skip cutscenes.
Well, that doesn't even skip much of the game. That just skips the lore.
Yeah, fair enough. It saves a lot of time.
Yeah,
The-
it does take a long time.
The cutscenes do add a remarkable amount of time.
Yeah. So in in the hero mode no back in time category, we would already be on the surface. Just to kind of give an idea of the how much time cutscenes add.
Yeah. And
Does
Keitsu-
Does no bit in hero mode beat any percent to the surface then?
I think yes, I want to say, because any percent has to do extra setup on Skyloft, like
We
rescue.
do a ton of setups.
Yeah.
Also, we are about to witness a murder.
Yeah, and then it says, "Hey, push down," but this is a cutscene. Nothing actually happens.
Yeah.
And our Loftwing is missing, so Link's.
The gist of this cutscene is Link's Loftwing, the big birds of the Skyloftian people, seems to be missing. And Zelda doesn't believe him, so she pushes him off of the platform. She thinks he's just being lazy and not wanting to practice for the upcoming wing ceremony, which is the coronation event for Knights of Skyloft, basically.
Yep. So now Zelda has to go and unmurder us so that we can continue the run.
Little does Zelda know, we will just go and murder ourselves later anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, now there has to be some discussion about, well, we need to be at the wing ceremony, but there's no trace of our bird, so he's gonna say, hey, let's talk to this other instructor to delay it, and then Zelda's like, well, won't this other instructor just talk to you? And it goes back and forth for a little longer.
And eventually it is settled that Headmaster Gepora will go talk to the professor to delay the wing ceremony. While Link goes and searches for his bird.
And yeah, so the first time that I activated Back in Time, I intentionally chose to do it using the Wii's home menu button, just to kind of show the actual reset. For all future activations of Back in Time, I'm going to press the hardware reset button on my physical Wii, just because that's significantly faster.
Yeah, it saves the entire time of menuing. Which saves, 2 or 3 seconds, if I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
each time we activate Bit, and we will activate Bit a fairly significant number of times.
Yep.
Alright, so now we're running towards Groose, one of the best characters in the entire game, even though he's a bit of a bully.
Yep.
He is like the fan favorite character in the Skyward Sword speedrunning community.
Yep.
And in general, I feel like a lot of people casually really liked Groose.
Yep. Groose has a really, really cool character arc in this game. So yeah, like as we see right now, he's starting off as the bully. Also, we have one of the best memes in this game coming up, although it's in Japanese, but the text option I'm going to choose here is the text option corresponding to telling him nice hair.
I forget what like the build up to it is, but we're just like, yeah, nice hair, dude.
Groose is saying like, oh, that's awfully weird that you can't find your Loftwing. Why are you so special that they're delaying the ceremony for you? I'm gonna win and you suck. That's basically what he's saying.
Well, yeah, that is the gist of what he's saying.
Yeah.
And just interjecting with nice hair.
Yeah.
But can Groose do reverse bit magic? No, that's a very good point.
Well, when we have when we can play as Groose in the randomizer, then yes, Groose will be able to do reverse bit magic.
Reverse Groose magic.
Groose can help us do reverse bit magic though, and we actually will see him in Back in Time
Yeah.
later on.
He is actually an integral part of Back in Time later.
Yeah.
Also, Groose is like madly in love with Zelda, and it's obviously not reciprocated in any way.
You hate to see it.
And yes, this game does have a relatively new randomizer. There's a tournament ongoing for it right now. That's currently wrapping up the quarterfinals.
Yeah, the tournament will be done soon, and then none of us will know what to do with our lives afterwards because we spent, past 4 months doing nothing but rando.
Yeah.
Yeah, now everybody flexes on you by jumping off and calling their birds.
Yeah, because now no one can call it.
You're the only
Everyone
one
doesn't call the birds,
who
yeah.
have your bird.
Poor Link.
Poor guy.
Yeah, so ordinarily what you're supposed to do next is go, like, talk to some people, find out that your Loftwing's in a cave somewhere. They'll tell you to go get a sword to go there, but we already got the goddess sword, so we don't need to do any of that. We can just run right to the waterfall cave.
That bonk was not intentional, by the way.
It was Scaldera RNG manipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, meatball RNG is sometimes we call it. Something that is very important in this game is stamina management, and we haven't really talked about it at all. But basically, the gist of stamina management in this game is you want to use it all, to sprint, because sprinting is the fastest form of movement, except for rolling, which saves, on average, 1 frame over sprinting the same distance. But the last quarter of your stamina wheel will actually deplete at 1/2 of the rate as the rest of your stamina wheel, but it refills at the same speed. So optimally, you want to just drain your stamina wheel and then use the last quarter repeatedly over and over again. Also, we're damaging down here. That's 1 heart too many. And now we have to use the keys, unfortunately.
Yeah. Because I didn't want to reattach to the Chew, because sometimes the Chew can just do 2 damage when you want 1, and I didn't want to die. The keys can sometimes
just double tap you.
So yeah.
Which is really unfortunate when it happens.
So now we meet Zelda outside here. Basically saying, hey, here's a place where Groose hangs out. Then Zelda gets distracted for a moment by hearing something that's calling out to her.
Something.
Yeah.
I think those are her exact words, is I can hear something calling out to me.
Yes. Or is someone calling me?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So yeah, I just saved there, which is important, and now I'm going to rescue the Loftwing.
However, something interesting is gonna happen after we rescue the Loftwing.
Yeah. So there's this. Now we have a 1.5-minute cutscene. Basically, the Loftwing's free, and then yeah, Link is
Our
now.
majestic red bird is now free.
Yep.
Yeah. Link does have the special crimson Loftwing. Apparently is an exceedingly rare species of Loftwing.
And of note, if my Skyloftian lore is not mistaken, the Loftwing chooses the human and not the other way around. So
Yes.
Yep.
It's something like. Actually, wait. I don't.
I don't remember how
in the game it's explained, but like
yeah,
the
it is
the Loftwing like flies up to you during some ceremony or something.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
And then you just jump off and whistle and it comes.
So our hero Lore was chosen by the Crimson Loftwing. I also want to say this is the first Crimson Loftwing that has been seen in a very long time, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I think so.
So Link do be special.
Yep. So now Link's going to dive off the platform, this time of his own volition, and then
So not murder.
Yep. And now I'm going to do something that's going to seem strange. I'm going to just reset the game. Now, as I kind of alluded to before, as soon as you watch a cutscene, the game is going to record the fact that you watched that cutscene. So now we'll be able to skip that cutscene of like Link reuniting with his Loftwing next time we have it, which is going to be important because we're going to be rescuing Loftwing 2 more times.
Yeah. So cutscene skips in this game are very strange because the flags are kind of separate from the rest of the save data on your file, and they just get written to disk, like, well, not disk, but like to the Wii's memory, like immediately following the skip flag being set, rather than the next time you save. So we actually just reset there, and the flag is actually set on that file.
Yeah, and apparently I failed back in time, so I get to.
I was wondering. I was like, "This is a suspiciously long black screen."
So unfortunately, that means if you fail back in time off a corrupt file, that's a hard crash. Because the corrupt file has everything set to 0. That includes Link's health. That also includes the respawn coordinates for Link. So it doesn't know where to respawn you if you don't activate back in time.
Yeah, so the game is kind of just like, what do I do now?
So we're going to...
crashes.
Yeah, so we're going to hope that doesn't happen again, because that is a substantial time loss.
Yeah, it is actually really easy to just crash in back in time, like shockingly easy. Although, it is a glitched state of the game, so, it's not that shocking, all things considered, but...
Yeah, but yes, now we have the run off to an absolutely wonderful start with a... Okay, that should be good. Yes.
There are a couple of things that Back in Time seems to really not like for some reason. So some of those things include Night and the Hero's Tunic. So loading the Hero's Tunic in Back in Time just like always crashes. Certain layers often crash. So layers are like just different states of maps. So Skyloft starts on layer 1, and then you watch some cutscenes and it advances to layer 2. Then you save the Loftwing and it advances to layer 3, and so on and so on. And specific layers just always crash. And then once again, the Hero's Tunic always crashes. And then other than that, various locations just always crash in Back in Time. Various actions crash in Back in Time. There's just an unbelievable amount of ways that you can crash in Back in Time.
Back in Time is just, you know, very much it wants to crash.
Yep, so now I'm going to be placing the Emerald Tablet in Back in Time, but it's not really because I want the tablet placed yet. We want to access a save prompt, and that seems like a kind of weird thing, but there's pretty good reason for it. So yeah, Fi tends to lag a bit when she's on screen and Back in Time, so I just have this Wii Motion Plus tutorial up to mitigate that a little bit.
Back in Time can be very laggy with some things, especially when you clear the splash screen and bring up the file select. So whenever there's lag, we try to stay on the splash screen for as long as possible. Also, picking the right text option here is important because it skips an animation.
Yeah.
Or so I am told.
Yeah, like if you pick the top option, like he will like spend like 5 seconds shaking Link's hand, which is a funny animation but wastes time. So yeah, so now we're gonna save file 1 at that save prompt, and now we're gonna start file 2, which is the file we've been playing on.
Of note, we did start the run on file 2, and that is actually important that the run file can end up on file 1.
Yeah, which I mean is basically just because file 1 is almost always where we have the run file, and so just for the...
Although for a while we will be playing on file 2.
Yeah. So now, the second time we're rescuing the Loftwing, our Loftwing is kind of dumb, and we're gonna need to rescue it one more time.
Yeah, it managed to get itself trapped again, but like we said, we've already watched this cutscene, so we can actually just skip it.
Yeah.
Which is absurdly interesting.
Yeah, it's very, very weird that you don't need to save.
That's actually very important because it enables a trick, which is actually a run killer in certain categories of Back in Time, of other categories in this game, because you can actually just duplicate your cutscene flags for one file from another, like over another file's cutscene flags, and lose the ability to skip cutscenes. So,
Yeah.
which is, you know, particularly bad in hero mode.
Back to some more in terms of what's going on in lore. So now we have saved Link's Loftwing, and so that's cool and good and all things that are positive. And now it's time to start the ceremony. So there's the wing ceremony. At the wing ceremony, the not the knight, I guess it would be the student or pupil who claims the bird statue that is tied to the yellow Loftwing's foot is the student who gets to become a knight.
Is it yellow or is it gold?
Dude, this game's like 480p. It's yellow.
You know, I'm not so sure that resolution actually has to do with color there. So.
It's yellow enough. Anyway, so you can't actually lose the wing ceremony. There is no timeline in which Groose becomes the hero of time.
Well, yeah. I mean, he wouldn't become the hero. He would just be the knight.
Well, it goes
There's nothing stopping Link from saving the world in his pajamas.
Yeah.
In fact, doesn't he do that in any percent?
Not anymore, no.
Yeah. However, we will actually be skipping the wing ceremony.
Yeah. So this is a simplified version of a trick called Sky Reverse Bit Warp, which Exo knows all about failing in Hero.
Sure do.
But basically, a reverse bit warp is we take coordinates or information, like basically our coordinates from our save file, and apply them to the area that we load into in Back in Time. So in that instance of Back in Time, we loaded into the sky and started our file in the loading zone so that the coordinates of the save prompt actually got loaded. So it actually loads the entrance into the sky instead of some specific set of coordinates, so that Link actually mounts his bird correctly.
Yeah, save prompts are very special for reverse bit warps because they just put you where you would expect to go.
Yeah.
Instead of some random coordinates in the sky that you're saved at on the file.
Yeah. We do not use a prompt reverse bit warp elsewhere in this run, I do not believe. So that is the only place we will see it.
We do one more into the goddess statue later, but...
Oh, right, yeah.
They're generally not too useful all over the place, but they do have their select uses.
They're particularly useful in Hundo because you can reverse bit. That's the only way that you can reverse bit warp into a cutscene, and that's supremely important in some categories. In fact, I think that was actually a proposed thing in this category, was reverse bit warping into the cutscene of opening Skykeep.
Yeah, just we don't have a useful save prompt there is the problem.
Yeah,
that's
unfortunate.
Because
if we had to complete Sandship or another dungeon, we would, but unfortunately we don't. Or fortunately we don't, because it saves a metric ton of time.
Yeah, I believe this is actually the only category that enters a dungeon and gets the dungeon item and then leaves.
Yeah, it is, as far as I am aware.
Okay, so...
Every other... Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, we're about to be able to go to the surface, but the last thing that we need is to actually have the Farron Pillar available to us. So we're going to again make use of Back in Time to place the Farron Pillar, just because we're going to want it on an early game file later.
This is probably one of the most easy to understand applications of reverse bit magic. So basically, I know CJ had explained this earlier, but once again, right before something happens, so in this case, right before the Farron Pillar opens, 64 is going to start the file, and then while the file is after the file has started and it's fading in, then the Farron Pillar will open, and since it opens after he started the file, it remains open once he's playing on the file. No, it's actually a fairly lenient trick in most circumstances, because there is a solid maybe 1.5 or 2 seconds of fade out. So there is a roughly 1.5 to 2 second window to get it. And we will see the Farron Pillar in the back of this cutscene here. You can see it on the left. And that's how it works. There will be some more complicated examples later where what we're actually doing in Back in Time and the results of it aren't the exact same. But we'll kind of talk about that more later when it shows up. And so, as we had mentioned before, the Loftwing getting stuck for the 3rd time. Silly bird, although it will be free for the rest of the game finally.
Yep.
Yeah, finally the bird will be free, and we will not have to rescue it a 4th time.
The bird has overcome Garus.
Yep.
And his goon squad.
Goon squad. So notably, this layer of the sky is the tutorial layer, which means we are actually restricted as to where we can fly, but we can actually just dive out of the bounds of the tutorial. So by flying up pretty high, we could just dive into the Farron Pillar here. And this is the first of many dives into the Farron Pillar that we will be seeing tonight.
Yeah, we actually didn't mention it earlier, but the entire reason for reverse bit warping into the sky was to be able to get the ability to dive off the Loftwing before you should.
That phytex that we got near the Farron Pillar is actually something that gives you the ability to dive for some reason. The other place that you get the ability to dive is also a phytex, but it is on Skyloft after getting the Hero's Tunic and moving towards the Farron Pillar. Like to dive off. And we will never see that FI text, as far as I'm aware. In fact, I don't think any category sees that FI text except Nobit anymore.
Which FI text is that?
The one where she's like, go to the. I can confirm that a pillar of light has opened a barrier, opened a gap in the cloud barrier. Like right after you get the tunic.
Oh. Like after Olan's shield.
Yeah, after you get the shield.
100% may still get that.
I don't think Hundo does, but I'm not.
No, Hundo definitely gets it.
It gets that FI text?
Yeah, because we get the shield from Owlin, and then we run by to go to we do Sealed Grounds one late.
Trigger unloaded on later layers. So this is the Farron intro cutscene, and this is a very important cutscene to be able to skip in Back in Time, because it opens the map, and the map crashes in Back in Time.
100% of the time, with no exceptions. The map always crashes, and so if you hold plus for more than one frame in Back in Time, it crashes, or if you try to go and select a bird statue to dive to, it crashes.
Yeah. So we have to be very careful about entering the Farron pillar, because we actually need a file that either hasn't watched that cutscene, or a file that has the harp, which we will explain later to avoid spoiling the lore.
Yeah, specifically that has the harp and hasn't watched a relevant cutscene.
Yeah. I had to think about that for a second. I was like, but wait. But yeah, no, because we need the cutscene to trigger.
Yeah.
There is a lot of lore in this game. This game is filled with lore, and we get to get a lot of it. And anything that we skip, we will fill in the blanks for you guys, and hopefully it will not be too terrible of an explanation.
Yeah, no promises on a great explanation of skipping the entirety of Song of the Hero and everything after Sanchez.
And skipping, like, half the game between Earth Temple and Sandship as well.
Yep, so now we're talking to Fledge again.
So this is actually the instance of reverse. This is an instance of reverse bit magic, but we'll actually get to see what this flag corresponds to and the reason it's important.
Yep. So there's a log there that's currently up, and now we're gonna bonk this. I'm going to pick up this heart just for both the text and a little bit of safety on this next segment. And now this log is down, and we can climb up here, and we can skip the entirety of Sealed Grounds.
Yep.
Yeah,
this saves like an insane amount of time in hero mode or in normal mode.
Yeah, so what differentiates this instance of reverse bit magic from the previous instances of reverse bit magic is that the previous instances of reverse RBM, I'm just going to say RBM, the previous instances of RBM all dealt with story flags. And so story flags universally throughout Skyward Sword are the same no matter what map you're on. But there are other sets of flags. So that, for example, is a scene flag. And what's stored in scene flags is... This jump is harder than it looks, I promise.
Yeah, it really is not the easiest thing.
Yeah, I promise you I got that jump first try in practice.
What's special about scene flags and what they are is that scene flags often track things that you can only do once on various maps. So pushing down logs is a scene flag, maybe breaking boulders in Eldin or Farron is a scene flag. Bonking and getting rupees from mushrooms and stuff is all a scene flag.
And some of those are temp flags.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And so because the area of memory is the same no matter what map you're on, and it just loads the relevant flags for that area in, if we can change that area of memory while we're loading into a different map, we can have some very fun interactions like that one. So it just so happens, is a complete coincidence, that the same bit, the same location in memory is used to determine whether or not you've talked to Fledge and whether or not that log is down. It's just a complete coincidence. There's no real reason that they should be linked other than it just so happens that they use the same bit in memory.
The exact, like, it's down to the bit level. for the record. Like,
Yeah.
this is, like we are, when we do stuff like this, we are manipulating memory at the bit level, essentially. But it's not, like, memory manipulation to the extent that you see in things like Ocarina of Time, and such, because we don't have the ability to, like, arbitrarily set, like, any amount of code. It, like, we can just set, like, these scene flags and effectively arbitrarily change the areas we're in. But we are actually fairly limited in what we can do, because not all flags are actually accessible in Back in Time. Because they're either in an area, they either don't exist on in Skyloft of the Sky or Farron, which are the 3 areas we can reach in Back in Time, and you'll see some more about that coming soon, TM. Or they exist on a layer of those areas that we cannot access in Back in Time, either because it crashes or it has, you know, non-feasible requirements to activate that layer for a speedrun.
Yeah, and once again, once we're restricted to all of the ones that we could feasibly access, it's just a pure coincidence as to what's there.
When reverse bit magic was first discovered, like 2 years ago now,
2 years
almost.
ago.
Jeez, how time flies. But what is time anyway? But that's not really the point. The Skyward community actually had to go through and, like, dig up save files and just change things everywhere on emulator using a tool called the Dolphin Memory Engine to see what bits got set when we did what, and we track all this in a big spreadsheet.
Yeah, there was a lot of things marked should exist for a remarkably long amount of time, where we had a file that had a bit set, but nobody had yet figured out what actually set that bit on that file.
Yeah, there are still you know, should exist flags that we have not figured out what corresponds to it, which is, you know, phenomenally funny.
Yeah. I mean, now we have some better tools. Like, we have like dumps of most of the game's, like, event engine that we can use to, like, determine what sets a specific flag rather than just having to manually check it.
Yeah, I think even using that, there are still some that we haven't found, but I guess it's just we haven't looked for them because they're not useful.
Yeah, it's a combination of that, and I think just that I don't know, there's some theories that, like, some of those bits may have just been set from, like, a hacked save file and just...
Yeah, that's very likely as well.
So it just, like, that bit just happened to be, like, hacked, set, and
unfortunately, it got our hopes up. Isn't there one should exist in series that would be useful for some category still?
Maybe? I haven't paid attention to what the should exists are in a while, though.
Yeah, I haven't looked in a while either. I just remember that specifically there was a sealed grounds bit that should exist that we couldn't find. Although I think, you know, recent 80% developments may have made that irrelevant.
Yeah, because I think, like... Because, like, a lot of what we're looking for are things that are relevant to speedruns. You'll also notice the combat here, like, is... Like... So, in hero mode, your Goddess Sword gets the Skyward Strike capability of the normal mode True Master Sword. We don't get that in normal mode, so the Skyward Strike is close to useless, which means that the combat has to be done, like, kind of, I guess, as intended. So, you'll see some longer fight sequences in this than you would see in other categories.
Back to lore for a split second. So all we skipped was kind of running around in sealed grounds, finding a mysterious old lady inside the temple who teaches us how to use our map and place beacons. We then would have gone outside and found a friendly Goron being attacked by bokoblins. We would have saved him, and then he would have told us about bird statues that legend has it were useful at some point in the past, and mysteriously still remain. Then we came into Farron here, and Fi probably said something like, Zelda was here, probably. And then we went looking for Zelda. We ran into one of these weird things called a Kikwi, it ran away from us because it thought we were a green bokoblin, despite the fact that we just saved it. And then it told us that its friends are missing as well. And so we are now looking for all of its friends.
Yep. Also, despite the fact that we are not actually wearing our green tunic like the game expects us to be right now, we are still in what I think people have called in the chat the safety pajamas. Which we jokingly call that because wearing this, not having the hero's tunic tends to not crash in situations that having the tunic would in Back in Time. But the reason that we don't have the tunic right now is just kind of for routing convenience. And just that in order to have the early Farron Pillar, or the Farron Pillar on a file without the tunic, we have to do the first part of the game without the tunic. Which doesn't really matter that much, but it does mean that we also don't have the adventure pouch right now, which means that we don't have a shield. Which isn't that important. Like, the fights this early on, they would be sped up a little bit with the shield, but not by a significant amount.
And now, since we have found all of the Kikwi friends, you're now telling the Elder that all of them are safe. And he's going to give us, like, the prized heirloom of the Kikwi or something, which he conveniently keeps on his back at all times.
Yeah, for some reason it's just on his back. And it just sprouts from his body.
Yeah.
Conveniently.
You know, for easy access in the middle of your back.
And his sides are conveniently scalable. For easy parkour.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that the Kikwis are in on that we are looking for Zelda. And so, that guy's name is Bucha, right? Or
is it Bucha or Buka? I always pronounce it Buka with a hard C.
Alright, so Buka there tells us that we can now venture further into the woods because we have a slingshot. And so, we will do just that.
Yeah, because basically we need the slingshot to shoot down that vine. Hopefully with less NA aim.
I can never remember. Is this flag RBMable or is it only bit magicable?
You can.
It's only bit magicable.
You can RBM it, but you have to reload after, because it's a flag that only, for some reason, that vine like only gets set on load. It's weird.
Even though you can just like shoot it down without reloading, which is weird.
Yeah. I don't know, something about how the actor works. Like, that's the whole reason in like hero mode, any percent, like when we do the whole Skyview RBW, you have to do an intentional death in bit to reload with the vine down. Which, yeah, we won't get into that here because it's not relevant to this category. Because we actually do get the slingshot in this category. Because
we have a potentially very cool trick coming up here. I'll just let you do it.
Yeah, if I can aim the slingshot.
Oh no. Eddie.
Nice heart.
Oh, that was actually really close.
Damn.
Yes.
Wait, does the Skyward strike not go far enough to hit the?
No. I don't think it goes far enough to
No
hit
way.
the beehive.
That's pathetic.
Dude, the Skyward strike in mode is so bad.
Anyway, so what 64 was trying to do there was a trick that we call extending blow, or EB for short. So what extending blow is it basically flings you towards the origin of the map, so position 000, really fast. faster depending on how far away you are. So on this map, what 000 is like the base of Skyview Temple, which conveniently is where we would like to go. And so the way the trick works is that you do a final blow, which is what you can do when you knock over an enemy. You can do a final blow onto it by doing a big jump and stab onto it while it's on the ground. It's pretty epic. But if you have an enemy both over the void plane but not dead, when you try and do a final blow, I'll just say the game gets confused and throws you at 000. Wow, yeah. That is a very weak.
Yeah, I was trying to hit the Skyward Strike before that Goron's text trigger, but it's a pretty tight range to do that, and I guess more
technically with extending blow, what happens is that when an enemy is over the void or any other death trigger for the enemy, it is killed internally, but is still a functional enemy for a short while afterwards, and then from there you could still final blow it, but now the enemy is dead and it doesn't know where to send you, so it just defaults to 000.
Yep. Also, I did a little jump slash there that skipped over a Phi trigger. It's somewhat dumb trick, but it saves 30 seconds of Phi talking to you.
It saves a weirdly large amount of time.
Yeah,
I've noticed.
Because Phi is trying to tell you, hey, you should go back and stock up on potions before going into the temple, and we're like, now we're speedrunners.
We want to die anyway.
It's also one of the very few cutscene Phi text skips in the game. Phi is largely unskippable.
Phi actually has an insanely high priority when it comes to text boxes and stuff, and Phi will even interrupt other cutscenes if you hack the triggers in such a way that you can trigger them all at the same time.
Yep.
Nope.
And the worst part about Phi is that she has the audacity to not refill our stamina after she interrupts.
Sometimes.
The vast majority of the time.
Yeah, and most of the time you hit her triggers when you're very low on stamina, so if you're not paying attention, you roll out of the trigger because you're so used to rolling to start your movement, and then you wind up
out of stamina, which is really bad.
Yeah, there will be an instance of this much later in the run where I have to be really conscious of that. So
you're thinking of Sandship?
Yes.
Yeah, everybody does that one.
Yep. Yep.
So we are going to have trigger. We are going to have a new back in time trick here. So every major trick in this game is basically just a variation of the tricks that we have available to us through back in time. So the one we're going to see here is called a bit warp. So earlier we talked about reverse bit warping. Bit warping was actually found first, and then reverse bit warping found after. Hence, the reverse is the one that was found second. And so
bit warp has actually been found for a very, very long time compared to reverse bit warping.
Mm-hmm. And so with reverse bit warping, we took the file, the location of the file and put it on the map of back in time. And so bit warping is the exact opposite, where we take the coordinates from back in time and we apply it onto the map of the file. So what happened there was file 1 was saved on Skyview, and we applied the coordinates of roughly the coordinates of that Upper Academy bird statue to it, and that put us in the center room there. It is not quite loaded properly though, so there are some things. Namely, the gate isn't there to keep us from going into the second half of the dungeon here, but we can just quickly reload it like this.
And this skips both small keys in Skyview, which is a lot of time to save.
Yeah, specifically I guess both of them are pretty bad, but the second one feels like it takes longer, even though it probably doesn't.
It really doesn't take that long, but it feels like it does.
Oh.
A trick here called Spider Skip. We knocked the spider out of the way with the Skyward Strike, which thankfully we can still do in hero or in normal mode.
Yeah, the Skyward Strike at least has the decency to go 1 foot.
Yeah,
then we're gonna
thankfully
backtrack
that's
for the-
possible. Or else we would basically be doing well, we'd have to, I think we'd still be able to do the bit warp, but it would be a little more convoluted to get to the second half of the dungeon.
We'd
But-
probably steal the key from the first half.
Even that.
Actually, I don't even think that would work.
Well, it would. I mean, we could do that, but I don't think it would save time. I think what we would. No. So yeah, now I need to fight this Stalfos, and it's to get an item that we will use exactly once in the run.
Yep, and it is skippable in hero mode because of the upgraded Skyward Strike. We used this item, the Beetle, exactly once in Earth Temple. It's not even like it's like late in the run. It's like in like, I guess if it wasn't for cutscenes, it'd be in like 15 minutes. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even useful in its dungeon. Except, I guess this counts as a use. Getting out of the beetle room.
yeah, but we wouldn't have to
technically a
use it
use
if
of
we
the
didn't
Beetle.
need it for. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you make a good point, Exto.
Yeah, but this is like, so apart from getting out of the room that we got the beetle in, the beetle has
That's
one
exactly
use
one
in
use.
the run. And it's like, that was for a very long time. It was a like, can we skip the beetle? And like, there was a theoretical TAS only trick. And then eventually when the run started getting whittled down, there were some really, really good runners, like SVA and Gymnast, who like actually started seriously giving it a try, and then realized that it's not quite as TAS only as they had previously thought.
Yeah.
And now
The
it's,
trick actually isn't all that hard once you know what you're.
I think it was mostly just figuring out how to manipulate the RNG of the keys, but
I mean, even still, we can't manipulate the RNG perfectly, but we can, you know, get the keys to be at the correct distance when it cooperates. I think is the more accurate way to phrase that.
yeah, but unfortunately irrelevant to this run because our Skyward Strike doesn't go far enough.
Yep. We also can't do the trick to skip the slingshot use or beetle use here, like any percent can do, because our Skyward Strike won't reach the vines.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's like
because
a
we have
theme
the
here.
but we have the slingshot anyway, so using
Yeah.
a slingshot is faster.
You don't really realize how vital the upgraded Skyward Strike is to
until
the
we
sword
take
speed
it away
running.
from you.
Until you play normal mode any percent, and then you cry.
Unironically, this category is really fun. Like, it does a lot of really cool things, and to me, it feels like a more traditional Zelda speedrun because Skyward Sword is one of the only Zelda speedruns I've seen that doesn't use Ace and also doesn't go to a dungeon just for at least one dungeon just for the item. But we actually get to do that in this run.
I mean, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask don't even need dungeons.
That's why I said they don't use Ace or they don't do the other thing. Or they don't dip.
Yeah.
So Ace kind of just says whatever.
Yeah. I mean, even without Ace, like I think you can defeat Ganon and I guess defeat Ganon has to go into Deku Tree, but defeat Majora doesn't have to enter any dungeons.
I guess defeat Ganon has to finish Deku Tree, so.
Yeah.
Or what is it? A Link to the Past any percent, the really sucky category.
Yeah, the one that like basically no one runs because it's like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Or I guess I should say like no one takes all that seriously, or at least not people in that community. However, more relevant to this game, we now meet the game's, like, I guess, what the game wants us to think is the primary antagonist.
I mean, he pretty much is the primary antagonist, all things considered.
Yeah, true. But yeah, so Girahim, and we get to watch this kind of creepy cutscene. I guess we're not to that part yet, but the cutscene where Girahim is introducing himself, and like all villains, has to explain his whole life story to us before we can actually fight him. And yeah, now the creepy part of the cutscene, and where I think you're the Exto de Weird emo comes
Perfect
from.
imitation.
So yeah, this phase was the one that like gave casual players trouble for a very long time, because it's like you have to move your sword opposite his hand. And then this second phase is unfortunately a bit RNG based.
Yeah, the exact amount of time this phase will is RNG, but you can consistently get a 7 cycle.
Which is really bad.
Yeah, I mean 7 is the minimum cycle. So.
Oh, I thought you meant 7 darts. My bad.
No, yeah, I meant like a 7 cycle fight.
Yeah, I was like 7 darts. Oh man.
Darts, monkas.
Yeah, we're hoping for no darts, and also for not getting hit like an idiot like I just did.
That's like 4 darts already.
Yeah, we actually do some very subtle AI manipulation in this fight, because by staying, somewhat close to Girahim and like having him stay in the center of the room approximately, it makes him less likely to teleport, which makes the fight faster. Also, by decreasing the amount of time he dashes, obviously.
Yeah.
Over if he had dashed for a long time.
And then like
I guess I cursed it the run when I said 7 cycles.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, getting hit is slow, but we at least didn't die, which would have been really bad, because I thought I had enough health that I didn't need to safety save, so it would have sent me all the way back to the start of the dungeon. I would have had to do the bit warp over again, but...
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about bit warps, is that it doesn't actually set like anything else about the file. Like, it doesn't set your respawn, it doesn't set anything, and you're actually still saved on Skyloft. You actually, if you like reset and load your file, you'd actually load Skyloft.
Yeah, because all we're doing basically is we're loading the game before the game like reads like what our saved map is, so it still thinks the map is saved, or it still thinks the file is saved on the map that we were just on.
Yeah, it basically reads in the map and then the coordinates. So actually it reads in both and then it overwrites the. So like we basically don't overwrite the map, but we overwrite the coordinates essentially.
Yeah.
During the load.
Man, it barely makes it.
Yeah, in hero mode you would Skyward Strike from so much further back, but yeah, we have to, in this Skyward, we have to be a lot closer to the crest.
Unfortunately.
So once again, lore-wise, we got into the temple, and Fi was like, I smell Zelda. And so you continue throughout the dungeon, and guess what? Zelda's not here. You hate to see it.
Sometimes like that it do be, though.
Yep. Also, this is the moment where casual players are like, wait, there was a goddess cube back there? And then you get teleported out afterwards.
Yeah, there's a goddess cube behind the goddess statue here.
Irrelevant.
Luckily,
for
you
the
have to come
speed.
back here anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does only have 300 rupees, so it's not particularly useful. Anyway, Fi
but it is required for the 100% definition.
Fi like sings a song or something, And then magically the next tablet comes down. So earlier we placed the Emerald tablet to give access to Farron, and now we will go place the Amber tablet. No, the Ruby tablet, which will give access to Eldon.
Doesn't Fi actually isn't Fi actually like translating a message from the goddess technically?
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And we'll use another reverse bit warp here. So because we can save at a prompt here, we can get a nice little added convenience. So one sometimes convenient thing that Back in Time can do is actually just take us back to Skyloft, because that's where Back in Time starts. So we can save at the prompt here. We can then activate Back in Time, and then we can just reverse bit warp into whatever the heck we want. So in this case, we want to go into the goddess statue so that we can place the next tablet to continue on. And that's exactly what it'll do here.
It's actually exceedingly rare for using bit to just get back to Skyloft to be faster. Usually, it's only faster if you're doing it in conjunction with something else, like an RBM or something like that, or if you're also like skipping text or something.
Yeah. So in this case, it is a text skip. So you would get another cutscene with Machi, the first Kikwi that we encountered in Farron, but doing this allows us to skip it. Because Back in Time,
unfortunately, we don't get to tell Machi that we forgot who he.
Back in Time itself is actually like really slow. Like for Back in Time to be useful, it has to save a significant amount of time, because just to activate Back in Time, you need to save, you need to die, you need to reset, you need to watch the intro cutscene, then you need to do whatever it is that the goal of the Back in Time is, and then load into the game again.
Yeah, I think the fastest possible RBM in RBM is like 40 seconds from saving to regaining control of Link after the.
And that is literally just RBMing nothing, basically. You just RBM the end of the opening cutscene of Back in Time.
No, that's the Deep Woods Early Thunderhead setup, I believe, is 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Okay. I mean, Early Thunderhead is not nothing.
No, I mean, like you don't do any action.
You don't do anything. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There's basically no action done in Back in Time in order to achieve the RBM.
Yeah. But yeah.
Also,
So
you'll notice that we just skipped a cutscene there. I think that was what 64 was about to mention.
yeah. That's because that was the cutscene before that save prompt, and we had watched it earlier. And now, because we're no longer on the correct layer for it, that cutscene is broken. So it's lucky that we have the ability to watch it early, or that we can route in conveniently watching it earlier so that we can skip it now.
Yeah. And now we get to skip it, and then we get to get more lore this way. And Fledge gets to yell at us and call us lore and tell us that he has something for us.
Yep.
Yeah, this all normally you get the hero's tunic before descending to Farron. So this all normally happens after you place the Farron tablet.
Yeah, which is why that the cutscene soft locks in the other version, or in the other layers, I should say.
Yeah.
Cutscenes really like to soft lock if you try to play them in.
Yeah, it's just because whatever actors that cutscene needs are missing.
Shield is actually not particularly useful in this game, but it will see a little bit of use. And this is a nice, convenient place to get one. So
yeah, it's a minor time save in a couple of places, and it makes one fight later in the run significantly easier.
It also does make the final boss easier, although technically it's faster to not use a shield.
Yeah, it's faster, or it's slower by what, like a second or something like that?
Yeah, like a second and a half. It also looks not as cool, so.
Yeah, the backflip strats are way cooler.
Nah, I don't even do those anymore. I just do the slash manipulation.
The correct slashes. Yeah, I sometimes struggle with it, so I just go with shield strats whenever I can, or backflip strats.
I used to be scared of the sword slash strategy, and then I tried it and I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, sometimes I will get like him to block the slash, and then like I'm like, oh, shit, I don't know what to do next, and then I just screw it up.
So yeah, I need to save actually here in a very precise position because we're going to be doing a reverse bit warp into the Elden Pillar, and we want to land in Elden in a very specific position. And so I wound up using a bit of a laggy method, just because...
It does save a significant amount of time over, you know, failing the bit warp.
Yeah. I was mostly doing the lag strat because, like, the other strat, if I were to mess it up badly enough, could, like, completely kill the run if I accidentally file duped, but... So, that would be very bad for a marathon run, and also I am totally not landing in this zipper. Oh, no. What? Okay, I guess that worked.
Huh? That worked? What? That trick is freer than I remember it being.
I was convinced I missed it, but I will take it. So yeah, we spawned underneath a goddess cube, and that goddess cube pushed us underground. So now we are inside magma turf.
And luckily that loading zone exists. Like, and it's that far out. Now for the first instance of combat where you really start to miss the Skyward strike. Like, you miss it in the Machi fight or the Lobsa fight, but you're like, I can make a do without it. And then this fight comes and you're like, I can't live without it.
Yeah, now if I do happen to take damage here, that is perfectly fine because I'm actually going to need to activate back in time soon. Yeah, unfortunately this is a relatively bad fight, but...
This fight can go very poorly or very well, and it is very rare for it to go very well, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's like in hero mode, it's not... I want to dodge that heart with, like... Yeah, I went out of my way to dodge that heart because it is...
We do not want that because we will be activating back in time from this file soon.
Yeah. And yeah, because the thing is, like, now we're going to have access to bomb flowers, so that corrupt file is not going to really be that useful to us anymore.
We also want a third file conveniently soon.
Yes. So the corrupt file is going to have one more use, and then after that we're going to copy over it with something that has more use for us.
Interestingly, our bomb count is not super tight in this route until we get to Lenairu, which is, you know, shortly after we get bombs. But in other categories, your bomb routing is fairly tight from the instant you get the bomb bag to the end of the run.
Yep.
Simply because it is so slow to, you know, pick up bombs and put them into your bomb bag.
Wow, I actually got circles.
Woohoo.
Nice.
It's pretty rare that I actually get circles. It's just like, it actually loses time, but it looks cool, so everyone always goes for it.
Yeah. It only loses like a frame, right?
Yeah, it's something like that.
It's not like on the, it's not, I don't think it's on the magnitude of seconds. I think it's on the magnitude.
Or yeah, I meant to say frames if I said seconds. Oh, and also the fun thing is invincibility frames when you're trying to take damage, as just happened to me right there. Because you're trying to go fast, and then you go too fast.
Sad.
So yeah, I wanted to damage down to a very specific amount of health. So that I could then quickly die with back in time, or inactivate back in time.
It's actually optimal to, when you want to activate back in time, to die into a... skips the animation of Link, like, struggling to go on with his life. And just kind of immediately fades to black.
Yeah, so that's why you saw me, like, launch myself into the lava with that bomb.
Also, lava is particularly good because it can double tap you.
Yeah.
It's also a shocking amount of time how much it saves.
Yeah, it is a drastic amount.
Like it's a number of seconds. It is worth it to, rather than use a bomb to kill yourself, to run like, I don't know, maybe 3 or
like
4
a full stamina
seconds.
wheel.
Yeah.
I think. So yeah, so now we're back in time again. We kind of just breezed over that, and we're gonna be doing a fun one where we will be sleeping tonight because we actually need night to be the layer here.
Yeah. And this, like, funnily enough, I think is the first instance of Back in Time that was or the first instance of RBM that was ever documented.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, not technically, but yeah.
Well, okay, the first instance that was actually called Reverse Bit Magic.
Yeah, that was known as Reverse Bit Magic.
Because technically it was early Thunderhead was the first known instance of Reverse
Technically,
Bit...
we've known about Reverse Bit Magic for the past, like, 7 years or something.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it was just not, like, realized just how powerful and just how general it was, and also,
Yeah.
nice.
Unfortunately, he missed. Dang.
We knew that it could be done with story flags, which, you know, kind of makes sense that it was found first, since you do something in Back in Time and you end up with that same thing. So the 2 early instances that we knew of that were useful were early Thunderhead, where you activate the Thunderhead cutscene in Back in Time, and early Life Tree Seedling, where you get the Life Tree Seedling in Back in Time.
Well, technically the Life Tree Seedling one is an inventory flag, but it's the same concept. Story flag is global.
Yeah, it's just like, what we didn't realize was that you could also do it with things that are scene specific, and that's what led to things being confused, led to this game becoming a very confusing speedrun if you're not familiar with it. So basically what I did in Back in Time there was I pushed the gravestone, and in the fade out, if you were paying attention, you saw the shed opening cutscene. And we're gonna see, as soon as I scale this, what that exactly did.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we won't see it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we will.
Eventually,
Sort of.
but first we won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
Please observe the perfectly
closed
normal door sitting in front of us at the Earth Temple.
Yep. It's a perfectly locked door. And the
100% perfectly locked, perfectly closed.
And in case it wasn't clear, what that RBM did was open that door. It's not open right now, but it is open, I promise.
Yeah.
And we will prove that to you in a moment after the Just Saying cutscene.
Yeah, because these Magmas are talking about how they want to be able to get inside the temple, and they eventually decide they're Magmas. They can just dig their way in. I don't think
first we gotta talk about a key. K-E-Y key.
Yep. And then Phi has to then basically repeat what they just told us, and then gives us the ability to douse for the key pieces, which we can't actually use because we never introduced it. And then I just roll into the cutscene trigger for entering the Earth Temple, because
perfectly locked door, by the way.
Yeah.
It is still closed.
Yep, and it will even be closed in this cutscene. You can see the bit of the lock there, and when the camera pans behind, you see the door still closed.
Yep. The door is closed. I promise you that the door is still closed.
No,
and now
a reload would have opened the door, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we reload the area, the door would be gone. But now we get to every Skyward Sword speedrunner's arch nemesis, the Earth Temple.
The Earth Temple is the worst part of every single speedrun of this. Just put a door that looks locked in front of speedrunners, and they'll try to find a way around, even if it's open to begin with. And here's that one use of the beetle that we were talking about.
Yep. And normally you would be trying to do cutscene skips on this drawbridge, but because this is normal mode, our Skyward Strike doesn't go far enough to be able to do those cutscene skips. So
Unfortunately, at least, we can't go that far.
Yeah. Also, because of my aim, our slingshot seed count is not in very good shape at the moment, so we're going to first get rid of this Lizalfos because he'll be annoying, and then we're going to dig up some convenient backup seeds.
Yep.
And
there are 10 of them in this hole, which is very nice.
yeah, now we can yeah, so now we can get this boulder and just get the bomb bag as per normal.
Oh, this is actually a different order than you would do it in a hero mode speedrun, because we actually need bomb bags on a file that we're going to copy after this.
Yeah. Earth Temple's a little interesting in this particular route. And it's because of an RBM that we need to set up much later, and I'll kind of talk about it when it actually comes time to do this RBM. Spent more time killing that guy than I saved my life.
You could have just unloaded him.
Yeah, but I don't know that.
You're doing this version of the cutscene skip, and you missed it. But...
Yeah. Yeah, you see why Earth Temple is like my least favorite dungeon. Like there's some cool tech to it, but like half the time, like, you wind up if you miss something, things can just cascade, and okay.
Earth Temple does have like half the cutscene skips that exist in the entire game.
Yeah. Of course, these Lizalfos do not want to cooperate in the slightest.
They never do.
Yeah, but this one was particularly bad. Although, probably should have taken intentional damage there, because I need to be at one fewer heart for the next thing I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Which, if you guessed activate back in time, you would be right.
When in doubt, the answer is probably activate back in time in this game.
Yeah, we have skipped over a decent amount of lore. So Link arrives in Eldon, and then Fi once again says that you should go find Zelda. So you do that, and you keep going around, and you meet this funny race that only exists in this game.
Funny race.
They're pretty funny guys. Let's see. Yes, and then you go to like the home of the Magma, which has been invaded, and then you meet somebody there, and he gives you mitts to go find Zelda, and then you meet a mysterious young lady who magically makes a bridge come out for you.
I mean, she does just step on a switch. It's not really that magical.
And then you keep going, and something about Zelda probably being behind this door and, you know, dowsing for the pieces. And then we're here, still looking for Zelda.
K-E-Y key, of course.
All that time trying to slash that bomb, and I kept targeting everything nearby.
Everything, or the entire duration of the bomb.
Yeah, I should have turned around, and then it probably would have been fine. But
you also probably could have just saved it 2 hearts and bombed into the lava.
Yeah, but we'll need to activate back in time again, so...
I mean... I think it would have still been faster than what you did in the end.
You make a compelling argument, but unfortunately a little bit too late. Yep, so Rup file has been nice, but we don't need it anymore. So we're going to delete it as we enter the academy.
And this deletion is just to save a little bit of text later.
Yeah.
And by later, I mean in like 10 seconds. like right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course I bonked there. I was trying to roll so that I would land directly in the lava, but basically what I did there was I hit the cutscene trigger for that bridge rising, which is what that RBM did, but I need to reload the area to actually make the bridge rise, so so that's why I then died again, so that now the bridge is raised and I can continue further in the dungeon without having to do the boulder rolling section that you're intended to do, which is quite slow and annoying.
Thankfully, we can skip part of the boulder section coming up.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just sprint partway up here. That's gonna make all of the boulders fall. I'm gonna stand in this corner here so that I don't get hit, and then I'm going to stutter sprint up this entire slope. Basically, I'm just repeatedly tapping the A button so that I conserve my stamina so I can make it all the way up.
Yeah, what's intended there is to go into like a little hole and then run all the way around and then bomb a rock that's about halfway up the slope, and then you can rest in that crevice just like you did on the first slope. But once again, not necessary and slow.
Yeah, who needs that?
Also, it has no lore, so it's lame.
Yeah, this hole is completely devoid of lore.
I don't know, what about the who created it and why, and
I don't know.
Also, 64 not doing the CJ bonk before that cutscene. Well, when I did a run of this category yesterday, I like bonked on a pillar before the cutscene of the rock rolling started, and I've never seen anyone do that before. And I don't think anyone ever has, because like it was just weird. I didn't even know you could bonk on that and, you know, survive.
Yep. So now we're going to head to everyone's least favorite boss in this game.
And it's especially bad in normal mode.
Yeah, because in hero mode, like, we have a lot of strats developed around using Skyward strikes to do precise amounts of damage at precise times to basically mitigate all of the RNG of this boss. In normal mode, we can't do that because our Skyward strike is very weak, does like almost no damage, and yeah.
Dare I ask if your strategy going into this is basically hope for the best?
I mean, that's pretty much the strat in normal mode.
In normal mode combat, the answer is slash wildly.
Yeah.
And hope that something connects.
Yeah. I mean, in general, for other bosses and enemies, like you have ways to kind of like manipulate their guard to one side and then hit the other side. Like that's how you kind of deal with bokoblins. But for Scaldera, you just kind of hope his eye spawns somewhere that you can hit it and just spin attack to do the most damage you can.
Yeah.
And try to just get this fight done with before
tomorrow morning.
Yes.
If this fight goes wrong, it could be longer than some of the categories in this marathon.
Also, cool little lore note, that boulder that was chasing Link earlier is the boss.
Yeah, it was really cool to me as a casual player when I was like, 12. 10? I might have been 10 when this game came out.
Really?
This game is 10 years old now, isn't it? So I was 10 or 11, yeah.
I thought you were older than me.
I am not.
Huh.
Because I don't think, judging by your reaction.
Doesn't matter.
Giving Exo an existential crisis. An existential crisis.
I mean, that's where whatever quote about if you're a boomer, then I might as well be dust.
Where did you get that from?
I said that once on stream.
Whoa.
Man, you managed to dance through Scaldera's legs. Like
Yeah, I was actually trying to get hit there. You know those times when you want to intentionally take damage and the game's just like, nah. I mean, it's not that big a deal, but if I can damage down to 1 heart in this fight, it would be nice.
Okay, not getting Skyward Strike strats.
Nice, the eye hangs out on the complete opposite side. At this rate, I will be 1 heart at the end of this fight.
Like I said, this fight can go on for like as long as this keeps
Okay.
The eye in this game like is sentient. I am convinced.
It knows where you are.
It literally dodged the attack. That cycle.
Yeah, it's like, again, this, like, I mean, part of it is I think we just have it, is just that, like, most of the effort into, like, figuring out strats for this boss has always been hero mode, because that's what most people...
I don't think there's a way to tricycle this boss.
Yeah, there's definitely no tricycle strats, but yeah, I mean...
I wonder if we can get a quadricycle.
Possibly. I think we'd have to, like, really plan it out, though. And probably also have good RNG. Because part of why it's not so bad, or I shouldn't even say that, why it's less bad in hero mode is we can somewhat mitigate the RNG, or if you do the most optimal strat, just, like, completely mitigate it. But since in normal mode we don't have the full damage Skyward Strike, we just kind of have to live with we just kind of have to, like, just hope we get enough damage.
Yeah. It's a really unfortunate situation.
And now we see Zelda again. And Zelda screams, "Lore!"
And tries to come and give us more lore, and the mysterious character is like, "No, you must not."
Yeah, I believe she says something like, you know what, or like, you know that you can't, or you know what must be done, or something like that here. And then Zelda is like, "Yep," and then turns around.
Yeah. And then says "lore" again as she gets warped away by the portal.
By the magical yellow light. That may or may not be gold or orange, I don't know. 480p, man.
And then here, the mysterious character is actually roasting Link for being too late and Zelda almost dying.
Yep. As has been, and of course, as someone in my chat had suggested last week, it's like, why could Link just not land directly in the Earth Temple Spring and avoid all of this?
Well, I think the question that we then need to answer that is the spring open to the air? Or...
Yeah, I just said it's
See up. See up.
Yeah, see up we gotta answer the lore questions. Pressing lore questions.
But yeah, it's just the barrier of plot convenience that stops us from landing here.
I don't know. That looked like a skylight there. That looked like sunbeams to me.
Yeah, it is very bright in there if it is not open to the sky, and I do see the what is likely a skylight.
Oh, there. Okay.
Oh, there's like a random. There's like a 2-link wide hole. I see.
2-link wide. That's a new metric.
Yep.
Glad to see the metric system adopting some new new methods of measuring. I don't know, it's not fully open, so I wonder if that would actually be like considered a valid point to land.
Well, there's
if it
no
wasn't for
bird
plot
statue.
convenience. If it wasn't for plot convenience.
Yeah. But we'll see. Like, not all of the barriers of plot convenience are have completely succeeded in this game, and we'll see that in the next area.
Yeah, we get to totally demolish the demolish plot convenience.
But unfortunately, not in the first couple of areas.
Yeah, and so the same sort of deal here. Flying around, translating the message from the goddess, giving the new tablet. Somehow, Zelda and the mysterious character will again make it to the new area before Link, despite the fact that you can't get
I mean, they
to the
did
sky.
just teleport there, and Link is, you know, having to go back to Skyloft.
Yeah, dude, if mysterious character didn't want Link to be late, maybe she could have, like, taken him with him or something. Like, jeez. And I assume we'll be doing another bit of pillar tech here?
Yep. So yeah, it's gonna be faster to do the back in time from file 3, and that's why I spent all the effort trying to slash that bomb, because we're gonna reload in here to activate back in time.
And then just jump in the lava and die.
Yep.
Wait a minute, is that the reason that you said you wanted to get bombs first?
Yeah.
But you're
So-
on one heart.
Well, oh, I want to. Okay.
Yeah, wait. Wait a second.
Did nobody realize this before?
Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is.
Oh wait, no, sorry, we do need bombs because we are about to start playing on file 3.
Yes. So I'm going to save file 3 here, basically take it out of Earth Temple. And then we are going to load the Lenairu pillar onto a file that hasn't actually beaten Earth Temple yet. And you might be wondering, like, why the heck would we do that? But
And the answer is it's complicated.
as with all things in Skyward Sword.
Yeah, Skyward Sword is an immensely complex speedrun.
Wait, that's not the tablet that Link was supposed to place there. I'm not... What color is that? If that's red, I need to redo this.
I can't tell.
It should be easy. It looks yellowish,
okay.
goldish to me.
Yeah, that looks
No,
fine.
that's red.
No, that's
That
red.
was-
Oh, that's definitely red.
That is indeed.
How did you do that?
Oh, and yeah, now this.
Yeah, Universe.
I did it too late because I was like... I noticed as soon as that cutscene was off that something was wrong. So I
guess that
boxed with the.
means-
So I picked up the rupee with the wrong
Yeah.
file, is what that
Yeah,
means.
I guess that's what you did.
So
Close the rupee text in particular.
yeah,
Oh, did you reselect a file?
yeah, because I like kind of.
Why didn't you just use your bombs?
Yeah, we went through all this trouble to get the bumps onto this file.
Well, I mean, we are about to play on this file for like the next hour. Actually, probably not an hour. It's probably about 40 minutes, but although at this rate.
Yeah, so the reason it's so confusing is because 64, excuse me, needs to bonk with file 2, but pick up the rupee with file 1.
Yeah. Okay. So now that
Bonking
I
with
picked
file-
it. Now that I
There
picked,
you go.
yeah, so now that I picked it up with the right file, it will actually place the correct tablet.
So, bonking with file 2 there commits the scene flags from file 2. File 2 is Skyward flags for the gate being open.
I don't think you need to do the save again.
Yeah, that was just muscle memory.
Muscle memory, honestly. Because so many people have done this bit so many times from the olden days.
What?
Or even some of
No.
the newer days.
This is a fairly new trick.
Well, no, this version of the RBM was in old any percent. Like, first RBM any percent, wasn't it? Like, first draft RBM any percent?
Look, that's new to me.
Okay, so now Link is going to actually place the invisible amber tablet instead
There
of
we
the
go.
ruby tablet. So now
so
we will.
loading, or getting the rupee loads your inventory flag, so that will load the amber tablet.
Okay, and I will also not mistime the RBM because I am not trying to pay attention to the color of the pillar because I know it's correct this time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we should have been able to tell by the camera angle.
We could have even told by the direction that it flies off the goddess statue.
Yeah. I was like, none of these things look particularly right, but I'm also not certain anything.
The dinosaur road.
Yeah. Okay, so now we've got the run back somewhat on the rails.
No, this run is still off the rails. You've got us on commentary. You were never on the rails to begin with.
You know what you signed up for.
Okay, now that I've lost 2.5 minutes on that split, we can
Dang.
continue the run. Yeah, so failing a back in time is actually really costly because, as we've talked about earlier, back in time takes a lot of time to do. So if you
If
fail
only we could go back in time and prevent it from taking time.
that's the Phi head strat right there. Yeah. Speaking of rails, there's all these minecart tracks in this area which we will not be making any use of.
Yeah. Who needs minecarts?
Yeah, this ain't Minecraft.
Or spirit tracks? We don't need our tracks.
Oh no, we died again.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
dear.
Whatever will we
64.
do? I guess you should just reset.
Yep, I just hit the reset button. And now we're back in time again.
Normally we make that joke on the first death, but it's a bit overused at that point.
I mean, yeah, it made more sense when the first back in time was like 30 minutes into the run as opposed to like 5.
Yeah, when you have to jump off a post 6 times to activate it, it looks pretty intentional.
Yeah. Although back in the old days, the first bit looked pretty intentional because you just stood there and got bodied by a keys.
we do actually have a lot of really interesting stuff coming up here.
Yeah, no,
just in a moment. This is definitely one of the most conceptually interesting parts of the run.
Yeah.
Some fascinating routing going on here. So what 64 is going to do right now is going to go talk to Betrow. So this is purely side quests. So none of it's actually necessary or Betrow is not necessary to complete the game, but he does have side quest things. But we're here in back in time, so that generally means that we're interested in a specific bit that Betrow can set in memory. So one of the things that is tracked by the flags that in the shared memory region is the bird statues that you can visit.
However, that's only the case for some regions, and that's not really that important. It's important that Lenairu does that.
Yeah, so there's a bit that determines whether or not there's the flag for talking to Betrow here. And then the flag of interest that it corresponds to in Lenairu is actually the flag for having activated the bird statue behind, like near the gate of time, the one just after the Lenairu mining facility. So what we can actually do here is RBM that Betrow text box, and then we'll have to commit it. I actually don't think we even talked about committing flags, but whatever. We have to shoot the eye to do stuff. And then
Basically,
64 is...
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Then 64 will just turn around or go to the sky. Or not, apparently.
Yeah, we're...
Oh, you do this first. Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to go to another bird statue, well, somewhat legitimately. Like, we're going to actually talk to the statue. We're not going to get there legitimately, as you can tell by the fact that I just died again.
So, committing. Committing is basically the process of taking the scene flag change and actually putting it into, like, full memory for the game. Because the game actually keeps, like, a copy of the scene flags in, like, on your save file, as well as in memory, and it makes those changes to memory. And anytime it makes the change in memory, it also writes it out to the save file. But when we set the flag using reverse bit magic, it actually kind of bypasses that step. So it doesn't actually get written to the actual scene flag array. But then we make any other change, and the full array is then committed to memory.
Yep. Also,
yes, it is exactly like a git commit when you think about it.
Yep, we are also way extremely out of bounds.
Yeah, Skyward Sword is really weird because it has some collision, like, stupidly far out of bounds.
I think the reason for this collision is this is the roof of the caves beneath it.
Do the caves go all the way out like that? No, because we're completely out of bounds here, I think, aren't we?
Yeah, some of it I think is the roof of the caves underneath, and then I think some of it is
pretty rough collision. So
yeah, I think like some of it is the fact that like there's like a scene in the credits that is in this area. But so, and also I think they wanted it to like look like there was something there if you flew the beetle out of bounds. So there's some reasons why, but the main thing for us is that we have that collision and now we can access this area way earlier than you're ever supposed to.
This is the Lenairu Caves, which is normally claw shot lock. And as you can very clearly tell, we have not done a single Silent Realm, and we do not have the claw shots. That much is certain. But we will be then going to Lenairu Gore.
Yep. Now, normally, the first time you go to caves, there's a Goron and a boulder blocking the way from getting here. But we loaded into that area before we were ever supposed to, so the game didn't quite load it onto the correct layer, so actors are missing, and that includes the boulder that's stopping us from going here early, which is...
As well as the Goron, for that matter.
Yes, which is very convenient. Also, the game thinks we've been in every area, as you can see from the map being fully filled in.
Suddenly being filled in. Relevant for all maps, but... So we
Yeah.
will be legitimately speaking to this bird statue and then leaving.
Yeah, because we'll be coming back here later, or very shortly, actually. But first, we want to get the harp, because the
Yeah,
harp is
so-
going to be very important for us in breaking the game, more than we
So
already have.
Extremely important.
So as I had mentioned earlier, 64 RBM'd the bird statue and committed it, so now he can actually go and dive to it.
Yep. Also, because I failed the extending blow, which meant I had to activate the goddess cube, then Phi finally is able to tell us, hey, you activated a goddess cube earlier, and here's a chest, and we don't actually care, but we're forced to sit through that text. And you can see this bird statue here that we never activate, or we never actually talk to, but because we talked to Betro and Back in Time, the game thinks that we have. And now we are on the other side of the rubble that's normally blocking you from getting to this area early. And now we're going to enter the Lenairu mining facility. And now we're going to leave the Lenairu mining facility.
Yeah. Luckily that loading zone exists at all. There's really no reason for it to actually exist, if we're being completely honest. But now we have another long cutscene, relatively long cutscene.
Yep.
How long is this cutscene? Like 4 minutes, 5 minutes?
I don't think it's that long, actually. I think it's like maybe 2.5 or so. Well,
But it is also one of the best cutscenes in the game.
yeah. I mean, I'll be able to give you a precise time because it will be the time of this split.
Also, Gearhim doesn't have the restriction of plot convenience. He's able to burst through the rubble. And suddenly everyone's like, oh no! Lore!
Yep. Also, there's supposed to be a gate of time in the background, but because we never entered the Lenairu mining facility legitimately, the gate of time just simply doesn't exist. Also, lore!
We also just learned Impa's name.
Yeah.
And we got the harp, but there's no time to admire it.
Except the game doesn't let us dismiss the text box, so we actually have to take the time to admire it.
So now we ask Impa, am I late?
Most important text option in the entire game right there. Am I late?
Lore! Yeah. And now, Impa and Zelda are going to disappear and blow up the air, and then there's going to be the remnants of a gate of time that we couldn't see before.
Yeah. And after this comes a 2-frame side hop trick that if you miss loses like 30 seconds. Because it's a Phi text skip.
Yeah, I don't think it's that much, but
Is it only 15?
Yeah, it's... Yeah. I'm gonna go for it, but like it's... If I miss it, it's not that big of a deal.
Link is suddenly very sad.
Okay, so yeah, 2 minutes 45 seconds is how long that cutscene is.
Orb! 2 minutes 45?
Orb, oh no.
Yeah,
oh, nice.
Okay. Yeah.
Ooh, nice. That is a 2-frame window, by the way.
Yeah.
If you hold down and you get first frame, do you front hop, backflip?
You side hop.
Instead of backflipping?
Yeah.
Which way do you side hop, left or right? Since it should be the opposite.
I feel like it's right.
Yeah, the Harp cutscene is 2 minutes and 45 seconds, not the side hop.
Yeah,
The side hop cutscene is 15 seconds.
yeah. But it's still a time save, so we go for it, because,
It also looks really cool.
yeah. Also, it means that the top dowsing target will be Zelda's face for the remainder of the run. Not that that matters, because I never got the ability to douse in the first place.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
But for like 100%, it's funny to like always have like every trial gate thing show Zelda's face when the game gives you the dowsing ability instead of the trial gate it's supposed to be.
So now we have something completely different from anything that we've done so far.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing a lot of things.
Yep, including some lore.
Yeah, we will be getting some lore here.
Back in time.
Yeah, bit lore. A bit of lore.
Hey. This is actually where we will see Groose in Back in Time, as I believe I briefly mentioned, basically at the start of the run.
Yep, so now it's the same thing that we did before, where I dive off my Loftwing to break out of the boundaries of the Loftwing tutorial and hopefully dive in the correct direction towards the pillar, which it seems to be the case.
Yeah, that looks good. This dive is stupid and can be very finicky. Diving in general in this game can be very, very finicky.
So now we meet the secondary conditions. So earlier we had mentioned that bringing up the map screen crashes in Back in Time. That's still true. That is always true, and I assume it will be forever true.
Yeah, I do think it will also be. I do also think it will be true. Unfortunately.
So, as we had mentioned, one way is that we can either descend with a file that has never checked a bird statue and therefore will go to the sealed grounds area, or we can descend with a file that has the harp but hasn't watched this cutscene, because this cutscene will play and will not bring up the menu. And so this cutscene is also particularly useful because this cutscene is what allows us to go learn the Ballad of the Goddess.
Yeah. It also loads you directly into behind the temple, which anytime 40 seconds or something like that. Over descending normally.
Yep. Also, it is objectively the best cutscene in the game because of Groose.
Also, the most important part of this cutscene is we finally learn what the surface is actually called.
Yeah. I'm not sure, like, when, like, he actually says it, but, like, eventually he will say that this area should be called Groose Land.
Groose Land.
I think it's right here.
Yeah, I also think it's right here.
Yeah, this is definitely him calling it Groose Land.
Yeah, this text right here, the red text is Groose Land, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And the game is like, what? With the musical sting.
Yeah.
Even the game can't believe the audacity of him doing so.
Yep. Also, this is the reason why we're continuing the game on a file that hasn't beaten Earth Temple yet, is because Gorko is up there, and that will be important later.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good stamina management.
Yep, I kind of screwed that up a little bit, but we're in. And I didn't accidentally copy a file, so everything's
That's
good.
very important that you don't do that.
But yeah, I opened the copy menu because if I did the correct stamina management there, it would prevent me from accidentally selecting a different file because I need to carry a flag all the way into the dungeon. Also, more Groose.
You said dungeon. You meant temple, right?
Yes. Also, no!
Everyone's favorite cutscene.
So, you may still be wondering why the heck we're here. Good question. Good question. So,
it is 60% in audio cue here.
Yep.
Okay, that should be good. Unfortunately, I won't know for sure, but like if it fails, I can redo it later. It'll just cost the time, but
yeah, unfortunately, it will just cost time.
Yeah, but it's not gonna like break the run or anything. Just be annoying.
Believe it or not, there are things that can happen in this run that will not.
I wonder what they will not do. I think you cut out there, CJ.
I said they will not break the run. Sorry.
Yeah.
They will not.
They will not what?
They will not what? But the point of that RBM, as you can see, it clearly had no distinguishable effect on the game state in any manner whatsoever.
In any discernible way. Discernible is the operative word.
Yes. So we will be seeing it later. Basically, the ultimate goal of the next, like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of shenanigans is to be able to get Lenairu Gorge in a state where we can access the boss rush. So after you, much later on in the game, when you revive the Thunder Dragon, you gain access to boss rush, which, as the name would suggest, allows you to fight bosses that you previously fought in the game. And since that is at the very end of the game, you do have, like, every boss in the game available in boss rush by default with no exceptions. So in theory, if you could access the boss rush early, you could fight bosses early. You probably see where this is going now. So the reason that we want to do boss rush early is so that we can, well, access some bosses early. And one of the really convenient things about accessing boss rush early is that the way it loads in the bosses is basically, since the game assumes you have already beaten the boss, it unloads certain flags and changes some scenes and stuff so that the boss can load into the respective area properly. And then at the end of the fight, regardless of how that fight ends, so whether Link dies or the boss dies, it will reset those flags, or in theory, if it never unset them, it would set them for the first time. And this is because you're assumed to have already beaten the boss, so the game sets the state back into the state that you've beaten the boss. So basically what we want to do is access boss rush so that we can die to some bosses to set the flags for having beaten those bosses.
The boss that, we just died to, but don't think about it too hard.
Yes. And so the first RBM there was actually to get some Phi text that forces a certain state. Now we actually can't get that text right away because activating that text will do some funny things to the game state and actually potentially make the game uncompletable. I can't remember the exact circumstances in this specific instance, but we don't want that Phi text yet.
Yeah, yet is the operative word here.
So we will RBM that Phi text first, and then later on, when we meet all the requirements to get the Phi text, we will use a reload of the area in order to call that Phi text. And then this RBM here is the Machi RBM. This one, again, unfortunately, has no discernible impact on the game state. So it looks like we did two random things in Back in Time, blew up two rocks, and we're gonna go die again. But what this one did is, so this is the minecart escort area. And what that did was it set the temporary flag for the minecart to be moving. So,
Yeah. So now the game thinks the escort is active. It's very important that we don't die or leave the area, which means that this next section can be a little dicey from time to time. Because if you run out of bombs up in the section coming up, or soft lock on a little trick that's coming up, you have to redo the Machi RBM.
yeah, and it kind of goes without saying that that RBM is very long.
Yeah. Machi is unfortunately very long, but very helpful.
Yeah. So the first RBM, the Harpstrom RBM we call it, was to get the Phi text that we will use later. And then the second one, the Machi RBM, was to get the minecart moving so that we can actually finish the minecart escort early. All right. Following along. So this one here.
There will be a test on it later.
Yeah, this will be on the test tomorrow. So I hope you're taking notes. This one here, just a standard bit warp, is going to be used just to get out of bounds so that we can get near the end of the minecart escort area. So the way that the minecart escort kind of follows Link around is actually depending on where Link voids while the escort is active. So while that bit that we said earlier is flipped high. A bit of jargon there, whatever.
Don't worry about it.
Basically, the point is the minecart will teleport to roughly where Link voids out. So if we can get to the end of the minecart escort and void out, then we can complete the minecart escort fairly easily. It does require this obnoxiously stupid jump that everybody hates.
Yes, this jump is dumb.
This jump is incredibly precise. What was that? Third try? Very good. Very good. Or second try.
Yeah.
Nice. This jump.
It can also soft lock, and that's the worst part.
Yeah, the soft lock's pretty rare with the map setup, though.
It is very, very rare.
Like
But it is a thing that can happen.
Yeah, I've never had it happen with the map setup, but
I haven't had it happen with my modified.
Now that I say that, that will happen on my next run that's on PB pace.
You can see the minecart in the background there.
Yeah, that little blue light is our little indicator that he did not fail the Machi RBM, which is incredibly hard to fail for what it's worth. Attachbox RBMs are notoriously easy.
And then once again, just voiding out near the end of the escort, and the minecart will come to the end of the escort.
The little thing that we did with the home menu there is called a brake slide. Basically, if you are sprinting or rolling and go from holding forward to holding ESS down over the course of exactly one frame, and also Z targeting, Link will do this like little backward shuffle but maintain his forward speed. And in Sing Sen especially, that becomes really dumb, or that becomes like really fast, like stupidly fast. And with that, you can go really far in Sing Sen. Also, nice first try bomb throw.
Yeah, this bomb throw is also remarkably precise, but it does have a fairly reliable setup.
Yeah, it's a fairly reliable setup, and it's pretty easy to tweak your positioning based on the feedback you get from the failures. Unless you're me and you just fail the throw 7 times in a row and hope that chat gives you the correct information on the setup for the 8th one.
Yeah. And then we don't have anything else to do for the rest of this other than just like let the minecart go. I can meme around and damage to a quarter heart for just to be on the quarter heart for no particular
quarter heart
reason.
RTA in 2 hours and 7 minutes or something.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna go near this entrance. I'm gonna wait until I see the ground shake, and then I'm going to reload the area.
All right.
And this
So
is
that
where
ground shaking was the minecart locking into place at the end of the escort.
okay. And this is the magic Phi text that makes all of this possible.
He's done it. Good job. The Harp RPM is notoriously difficult because like there are times where you're like, yeah, this is a really like attempt at the Harp RPM, and then it just doesn't work. Despite the fact that, you know, most people are pretty consistent at it, there are times where it doesn't cooperate with you. And now we will speak to the Thunder Dragon in Japanese for a few minutes.
Yeah. So he's basically asking us like if we want to play his mini game, and like he'll give us the opportunity to either do battle or silent realms, and we want the battle option because we want to fight previous bosses. And so the first boss that we are going to fight, or I guess I'll put fight in huge quotation marks,
Fight.
We're gonna get
is
stomped by.
yeah, that's
literally raffle stomped.
if I do it correctly, yes. Will be Imprisoned 1. So for all of you who casually played this game and hated the Imprisoned, well, I can fail to get stomped and see, it was this easy. So now the game thinks that I have beaten the Ancient Cistern and the Fire Sanctuary,
And also defeated the Imprisoned one, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yes.
Now that's important so that I can now go and fight the second Imprisoned, or again get stomped by the second Imprisoned.
By the second Imprisoned, and not crash. Very important note there. If you load into the Imprisoned to fight without having beaten both Ancient Cistern and Fire Sanctuary, the game will crash in the vast majority of circumstances because the completing Ancient Cistern is the actually it's specifically Cistern, not Fire Sanctuary. But beating Cistern causes the Grucinator tracks to appear in the sealed grounds, and if they're not there, the game is like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Also, there's very important Phi text.
Yep.
That's Phi telling us that there's a trial nearby.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the
because that's another thing that we get is Ferori's Courage. We get the story flag for that, so then Phi is going to tell us about it.
Yeah. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, thankfully the Hex Tuple pub stomp is now complete.
Yeah. It's actually that can be kind of annoying because if you do wind up messing that up, Imp 2 can start to climb the wall, which is a very slow cutscene that you don't want.
Yeah, then you have to use the Grucinator potentially.
Well, you have bombs.
Just shoot it at Link.
Oh yeah.
Will he be faster?
Yeah, wait. Will the Grucinator damage Link?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have
Also,
accidentally hit myself with the Grucinator before.
Also, someone in chat asked, under what circumstances will it not crash? The very specific circumstances in which you can manage to load sealed grounds without Gruce being there.
Also, emulator, right? Like it doesn't crash.
Yeah, emulator does not crash as far as I'm aware. Oh no, wait. I think that's a specific instance of Back in Time that doesn't crash. It's sealed ground, related to the same thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the Imprisoned.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay, so we're going to reverse bit warp into Elden again, and I'm gonna try to make sure that I save not in the specific area that I saved earlier, because we don't want to clip this time.
Yeah, that looked good.
Yeah, that should be fine. So the reason that we're going into Elden now is actually because so
the game is confused.
Yeah, so now things are pretty wild. So because we, air quote, saved the Thunder Dragon, file 3 is now in a Song of the Hero state, which means that entering Faerun will be entering Elden will start the Boko base quest, and entering Faerun would theoretically start the Tadtone quest.
Doesn't Tadtones not work in this state or something?
That's why I said theoretically.
Yeah. Okay.
So 64 can remount the Loftwing with file 3 there, which will load file 3's story flags. So that will load the story flag that's like, hey, if he goes into Elden, he should go into Boko Base. But then instead of going in with file 3, he reverse bitwarps file 1 in. And so now, file 1 is not in a Song of the Hero state, remember, because we deliberately made sure of that. But file 1 is in Boko Base early, which is pretty cool. And the reason that we want to be here is because Boko Base happens to literally have every item in the game, with some exceptions.
Yeah,
every item except for the items that aren't there.
Except for there is one item that if it was in Boko Base, 20 minutes from this, and that is the bow.
Yeah, the developers kind of like they placed individual items throughout Elden here, and then at the end they were like, screw it, everything else is in this chest. And the way that chest works is it actually just gives you everything else that you should have had. It doesn't give you everything that you would be expected to have at that point.
Which is bizarre.
Well, it's because the things in your adventure pouch are dynamic.
Yeah. Like the fact that your B-wheel items work that way is bizarre, but it makes sense, unfortunately. Although doesn't Boko Base not take your does it take your pouch items away, or does it just remove the ability to use the pouch? Oh no.
So, okay, I was attempting a cutscene skip there, and I was slightly too far to the left. So, I get some useless magma mitts now.
Yeah.
It's not a huge deal, it just loses time, because,
sad time.
now, I have to talk to Platts again, and so he can give me the magma mitts so I can get out of this jail cell. On the bright side, I won't have to heal up anymore, because I'm already at the requisite number of hearts.
Yeah, that is pretty nice.
But I would have preferred to not miss the jump slash.
Yeah, but sometimes like that it be.
That's just marathon.
Yeah, it's
how it goes.
Just
I'd say luck, but it technically not really luck, just...
Technically, it's completely your fault.
Yes.
Yeah,
but marathon, my fault, doesn't have the same ring to it.
Marathon, my fault.
The marathon, oh, that has happened before, but I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. Marathon unintentional strats.
Yeah, so...
Okay.
That was a little close there, 64 on the Boko.
Okay, this time I successfully did the cutscene skip.
Nice.
Because it would just be a panning cutscene of this area.
Then we use the slingshot to stun the Boko, even though we do have magma. Dig. Did I say the magma? I meant the Boko.
You said that sentence correctly, I believe.
Okay. So we will be getting a total of 3 items from early Bokoblin base here, or the free items segment, as we like to call it in most categories. We'll be getting the Gust Bellows, the Claw Shots, and the Whip. Nice bonk.
Yeah, the bonk, as far as I know, wastes no time, so why not?
Yeah, anytime you can bonk into a cutscene, you should. It's just objectively the correct thing to do.
If you get Gust Bellows from LMF after getting it here, nothing interesting happens.
I believe it actually plays the second event text. I believe it plays the Bokoblin base text. Like you got your Gust Bellows back. I'm not certain of that though.
I think I think it'll do the same event. I think the difference is because we haven't beaten Levias, or no, because we never watched the cutscene where we lost our items. That is why we're getting the initial text and not the...
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. That's the flag that determines it.
Really cool trick here. So for the longest time, Skyward Sword was like the only Zelda game that just didn't have any bomb boost. And then one day this was discovered and it's super cool.
If we can get it, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully I can get it. I have one more try.
The only useful bomb boost in the entire game. Thankfully, you're on normal mode, so you can basically try until the cows come home.
Well, until I run out of
until you run out of
bombs.
bombs. Oh,
Yeah.
that was so close.
Yeah, unfortunate. So now I just have to wait for this platform and
Oh yeah, because you need bombs, right?
Yeah, you need one.
Or you need one. Oh, are you going the long way around here?
well, I think this is faster because I'm already over here as opposed to taking the
Oh yeah,
claw
'cause it's
shot
literally just right here.
targets.
Yeah.
Also, like
Doesn't
supposedly
this
they're
wait, doesn't this conserve a bomb, or do you need a bomb here for something?
well, I need the bomb to blow up the tower.
Can't you just slingshot the BOGO at the top of the tower?
Yeah, or you could have gotten the bombs that are.
Yeah. Okay.
could've
Because you
done
have
another
claws, you could just claw shot to the vines, couldn't you? So you
Yeah.
could have gotten an extra attempt in.
That's all right.
It's fine. No worries.
Mysterious backwards chest.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I'm fairly confident this chest is backwards. Like, why would this chest be pointing this like random sticking out part of the wall?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'm just gonna.
Also, those 3 bomb flowers are specific to Boko Base, right?
Yeah.
Do they show up in Elden after Boko Base, or in the post Boko Base?
I don't think so.
Also, a really cool trick here called P-Hat Skip that I know nothing about. So
Yeah, I get one more try at it, and it's something that I've only like learned in quotes recently. So I'm gonna go for the setup again. So want to get a specific angle, and okay, I'll have to do it. Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get either. I think I just like wasn't quite the right angle, or I accidentally reset my angle. So now P had skip, unfortunately.
yeah.
I think what it is it looked like you were opening the map so late that during your angle change, you were hitting the edge, and then the angle ended up being slightly different because you weren't walking the entire way through the angle change.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So I think you just need to open the map a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I was practicing it a lot earlier today, and I got it a ton of times in a row, but unfortunately, in the actual run, I don't. But I
mean,
guess
that's just how that works. Honestly, like you'll get it in practice all the time. You'll never get it in a.
And we also need to save and quit, because you can't do back in time in Boko Base. There's just some areas, and you just can't do back in time with them, and Boko Base is one of them.
Marathon, my fault for you.
Yep, that's what it's called now.
So we're just gonna jump off and die here again. Because we need to activate back in time to get out,
Yeah.
basically.
And that's the fastest file that we have to activate back in time at that point, because one of our files has like no hearts, or has 6 hearts rather. One of our files is in Boko Base, so there's only one file left that
Yeah.
can
And
reel
you
us.
cannot activate. So there are 2 very important things. There is you cannot activate back in time in Boko Base because the respawn works differently there. And you also cannot activate back in time on back in time Skyloft for some reason.
Sometimes.
But only if you have not saved your file there. So like if you bit save onto back in time Skyloft, you can immediately activate back in time from there by just dying. But if you then save your file onto back in time Skyloft, you cannot.
Yeah, well, I think it's also if it was previously in a different area, because it uses
if you
the
bit save to Skyloft, you can do it from a different area.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So that's why we have to reload with the Bazaar there. In order to be able to activate back in time.
Yeah. So now we have our file that hasn't done any of the crazy back in time shenanigans that we did to be able to get into Boko Base.
Which unfortunately means it doesn't have Harp.
Yeah, sadly. But it means that we can actually access Sandsea now.
Yep, because we have the claw shots.
Oh, I was about to ask why you didn't go to Gorge, but I guess there's the Goron blocking it, right?
Yeah. Also, we don't have the
Yeah.
statue on this file.
Oh yeah, of course.
Also, getting to see these this shortcut in
Not rando.
yeah, and not rando is really cool.
Yeah. Especially
Vanilla
when you
game.
can see my NA aim on full display.
And a hug. I gotta say, you've had some really good C-ups into the loading zone.
Pressing C up into the loading zones, it gives you control of Link ever so slightly faster.
And over the course of, you know, dozens of loading zones, the run, it adds up to a couple at least.
Yeah.
This game is actually surprisingly, like, very minor tech, like, heavy. Like specific movement patterns and, like, when to roll, when not to roll, where, like, what lines you take. Movement tech, I guess, would be the correct terminology for that. And
Yeah.
C-upping into certain triggers, including, like, not just loading, but certain cutscene triggers is also slightly faster.
Yeah.
Some of them by, like, on the magnitude of, like, a second and a half, if I remember correctly. Like,
Ye-
isn't the Earth Temple bombs chest cutscene, like, 1.4 seconds or something?
It's specifically the one that comes to mind for me is the one where is after you open the boss door, the cutscene of the boulder rolling. That one is the one that has a second and a half camera pan that you skip by doing the C up. Because basically, C up into cutscenes that have a camera pan after will skip the camera pan.
Yeah, because the game can't pan the camera because it's in the C up mode. And when we say C up, we really do mean just tapping the C button on the nunchuck. There's not a C up button.
Yeah, we have been infected by Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, the OOT terminology.
Well, it's
Unfortunately,
also...
we don't get to see the only Ocarina of Time-esque setup in this entire game. In this, actually, there are two, but neither of them show up in this category.
Which two are those?
The Fire Sanctuary, Reverse Bit Warp into Cistern, and the Bottle Chest movement.
Ah, yes. You know, to be fair, C up is also the button you press in Majora's Mask and Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
Is it still? Is it C up really?
Well, because you use the GameCube controller for Wind Waker and GP, right?
Yeah, but they don't really have. I guess there is. Well, I mean, they have free camera, so like,
You
is there
can't-
really a C up?
You can't tell me that pushing the C stick up isn't C up.
Yeah, but doing that doesn't do the same thing it does in Ocarina of Time, does it?
Yes, it does.
You know, it's been a very long time since I've played Ocarina of Time on. I've never played Ocarina of Time on the N64.
Yeah.
Well, like in Wind Waker, if you're not in free cam and you tap C up.
Oh, if you're not in free cam.
Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah,
you-
because that puts you in first person mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just OOT has started the terminology. That's what we all associate it with, because you know it's one of the more prominent things. Also, we're gonna casually skip all of Sansea here, because Sansea doesn't have much lore, so we don't really care.
Yeah, we kind of broke the lore train.
Eventually, yeah.
It doesn't really make sense anymore.
Yeah, we kind of skipped the whole part of, you know, upgrading the sword here.
Yeah. Because basically, in the second half of the game, that is the goal, is to upgrade the sword into the Master Sword.
Although we don't know that it's going to become the Master Sword yet.
True.
That blew my mind when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't know it was going to become the Master Sword.
Oh, I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
I was like, yeah, it makes sense, but I was like, that's so cool. Don't worry, there is more lore to come, guys. We will be doing more. Lore.
Really an amount of lore.
Of lore. This has lots more lore than any other category of this game. Lore.
Well, I'm sure you could make up like
Cutscene % or something where you have to watch every skippable
100% no back in time normal mode.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, sounds like Skyward Sword HD.
HD hundo.
Yeah, so, by the way, there we talked to that Goron that I pointed out earlier. That's the whole reason we had the shenanigans of copying the file in Earth Temple and then putting the Lenairu pillar onto the file that didn't yet be Earth Temple. Because that Gorko spawns there in between beating Skyview and Earth Temple for some reason, and he has that specific text there. And then he disappears when you beat Earth Temple. That flag in Sandsea will cause the sand ship to be docked. So we can go right to the sand ship and not have to do all the other stuff in Sandsea that you would ordinarily have to do.
Which is great because Sandsea is actually remarkably boring.
Yeah. Remarkably light of lore as well. Like I said.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
literally just Link running around the Sandsea, finding out that the ship is not here.
pretty much.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mini Zelda game.
Yeah, and the ship is Zelda. Yeah, there was not enough Zelda chasing in the second half of the game, so they put sand ship chasing instead.
Yep. So you can't see the sand ship here, but trust me, we
us,
can
it's
just
here.
dock here.
Boom. And now for the longest loading screen in the entire game.
Yep.
Link slowly climbs the
Oh,
ladder.
actually, isn't the reverse bit warp into the propeller cutscene in Hundo longer than...
Maybe. Well, I think
that's
what we're...
a really long load.
Yeah. I think the longest load in the game is if you, like, bed trick into sand ship or something.
Yeah, that load is
28 seconds.
absurdly long. Like, you'd think you'd crash at that point.
Because I think, like, Azer had a video demonstrating it.
I think he legitimately timed it to be 28 seconds or something like that.
That's why I said that. I'm pretty sure it.
Yeah. That's where it came from.
Yeah. Also, like, we're not going to talk, like, this run's complicated enough. We're not going to talk about bed trick.
Yeah, please do not ask about bed trick. It is absurdly complicated.
It has also been renamed to stale entrance warping.
No, that's one specific application of bed trick.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Shows you how much I know about bed trick.
No one really knows much about bed trick except, like, Copernicus, Azer, and Lepalog. And even Lepa, I don't think, knows all that much about bed trick.
Yeah. Also, very inconvenient heart right there. Like, just happened to land on me as I was brake sliding, so then I had to take damage off the spike wall, because, surprise, surprise, we're gonna be dying soon.
Quite unfortunate,
Yeah.
all things considered.
This is the biggest 5 text box debate in the game.
Yeah, this is the one we were talking about where, you know, like, the stamina management is so perfect that, like, you want to roll into the cutscene and then roll out of it because you should have full stamina and then be able to, like, roll the rest of the way. But Fi has the audacity to not give us stamina.
Also, this combination lock is random, so it might take a little while. It is generally faster to... Oh, okay, you got it second try. So it is generally faster to input the combination that is 100% consistent than look at it every time. It is not random. I'm just...
Yeah, it is the same combination every time. It is down, up, down, right.
It's awesome that you failed it once.
Yeah, that made it look like it.
Yeah, I just accidentally did a left input. More marathon my fault.
Yeah.
Now, time for something that might have a tiny minuscule bit of RNG to it.
And by tiny, we mean an absurd amount because it's a boss fight or a mini boss, which means it's entirely RNG.
If I do it correctly, though.
It shouldn't matter, but
Yeah. So yeah, this boss fight is just like stabby.
yeah. Just stab the robot repeatedly.
And he can either do a fast attack or a slow attack. If he does a slow attack, you can interrupt it by stabbing him. So, and then if he does the fast attack, I'll just shield bash it like that. Which
The slow attack with only the hook remaining is like really hard to parry for some to shield bash.
Just because the timing is so awkward.
Okay.
And we got the bow.
Yep, and that's the only reason we went into this dungeon.
Yep.
And we're now actually pretty much ready to beat the game.
Yeah, we have everything we need to be able to beat. Actually, not quite yet. We do still have one more major trick to do. Which will unfortunately skip a lot of lore, but we'll fill you in along the way.
Yeah. I was too good at the Scaravo fight, so I had to damage down with the spike wall.
Damaging down with spike walls in this game is absurdly fast.
Yeah. So, for the next major trick, we actually want our file saved in this Sandsea Harbor area, because it happens to have a very important flag set here after you first enter Skipper's boat. Because there's some flags that the game uses to determine where you are and are not allowed to sail in Sandsea. And one of those flags is incredibly useful.
Yeah. For this upcoming...
Also, for some reason, I have been consistently failing back in time in this specific area, and I'm not sure what it is about Sandsea Harbor.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm doing anything different in this area, but it's just like half the time it doesn't want to work. Because normally back in time is extremely lenient, like you have a full second to press the reset button. Yeah, okay, that time it worked, but like, I asked about it in the Discord, no one seems to have given me any kind of reasonable, like, this is why,
Yeah.
so
I don't know that anyone knows.
Yeah.
It may just be, since different areas have different timing windows, it may just be that this one's particularly small.
I feel like this, like 64, you've never really had issues with it before, right? Like, this is recent development.
I've occasionally had it fail there, but now it's like a lot. So it's like either I'm like just getting on the very edge of the timing window and I'm just like waiting too long, or maybe I know I've heard of like someone who's like Wii was starting to die and then it wasn't like resetting. So I hope that's not what it is, because that would be sad.
Oh, that'd be really sad for you.
Yeah, I mean, worst case, I'd do it on Wii U, but then I'd lose I'd lose time to having to reset with the menu.
I have a third Wii I could tell you.
Exo casually with having 3 Wiis. Granted, I have 2, so, you know, I'm not much better than him. I used to have a third. I don't know what happened to my third. The third, I had one that has a bad disk drive, and then we replaced the, we got a new Wii for it, and now I have a Wii that plays GameCube games as well. Which is the Wii I use primarily for all of my stuff. Because it's a lot more convenient than having, like, another console. Like, having to worry about GameCube for Twilight Princess and stuff.
So now we're back here. This is a similar setup to what we did earlier in order to get that Harp RPM.
Yep.
Although, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
this time we will be doing Temple of Time things.
Yep.
Yeah, Temple of Time.
Or the Gate of Time.
Gate of
Time. Yeah.
So instead of going over and playing the harp, we will be going here and getting what seems to be the harp, but it's actually
Ballad of the Goddess.
Ballad of the Goddess. And then normally you can skip this cutscene, but of course, this is normal mode, so we get to watch this cutscene.
Yeah. So I told you guys there was more lore.
Yeah. So this is supposed to happen significantly early in the game, like right after you get the harp. Like, this is after that Groose text. Like, this is what you're supposed to, like, do the full harp tutorial, and then this is the cutscene that plays afterwards. And this triggers the first imprisoned fight. And
Which
also raises the Gate of Time. Yeah. Or
we have
done
already
in quotes.
beaten the first imprisoned and the second imprisoned. That's very important.
So yeah, now this is the quote imprisoned one fight triggering. So now,
that looked fine.
Yeah, that should be good.
I'll be able to check it in the next back in time because the text underneath the file will change, and I'll be able to see that and make sure it worked.
One of the downsides to playing on Japanese is that we lose the ability to do like this, like that, more, or lose the ability to do it easily, I should say.
Yeah, but I've memorized the shape of the first few characters, so I know, like, if it is the correct text or not, like, even if I can't read it.
Yeah. When I asked you about it the other day, you were able to tell real quick, so...
Yeah. Because actually, like, one of the convenient things in this game, too, is that the Japanese... There's, like, the couple of different writing systems for Japanese, and there's... I forget, like, what they're specifically called, but there's the smaller characters above, and that's what I kind of used to tell, and I did, in fact, succeed with that, so...
Called Furigana.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Yeah, I just...
What extra say?
Yes.
Not that it matters, but that's what they're called.
Extra just flexing with his Japanese lore knowledge.
Well, how are you supposed to soak in the lore if you're not fluent in Japanese, forehead?
Oh, so that's why you know what all the text is saying. You've been translating it for us the whole time.
yeah.
Alright, so this time we're going to do everyone's favorite trick in Skyward Sword. And that is called the Lumpy Pumpkin Dive.
Yep, and it's going to include me losing the Lumpy Pumpkin for some reason, like right off the bat, which is not helpful for diving there. Okay, hopefully this will work. Because I could see it in the distance, so I believe I am heading the correct direction. Yep, I can see it.
Oh yeah, there it is. I was like, I can't see that.
And then you have to be really careful with this, not stay on the splash screen, because this is one of the back in times where it is super easy to accidentally stay on the splash screen too long, and then the game's intro cutscene will play, which kicks you out of back in time. And yeah, I went way too high, but I got there, so that's the important part.
Yeah.
I just lost some time to having to dive a lot.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
So yeah, so the goal here is to talk to one specific person, because he sets a flag that's going to be important for something on Skyloft. Okay, hopefully I talk to him in time.
Yeah, that looked fine.
Yeah, and now to hit this
and
lamp.
he is very important because he gives us the Tro, if I'm not mistaken, in that.
So if I did that correctly, we're going to see something has changed when I leave the bazaar. So I'm gonna jump down and, oh wow, there's a trial gate.
Would you look at that? And suddenly,
Wow.
unfortunately, we have skipped some lore.
Like 60% of the game.
We did literally just skip like 66% of the game. The back 2/3 of the game have been skipped.
Yeah. Hopefully this trial goes better than it did for me in practice earlier today, where I very barely managed to avoid getting caught by the watcher at like the very, very end. Like, I think... So, hopefully I don't find myself in that situation now, because that would be unfortunate. But...
Alright, so while 64 goes through the silent realm here, we'll fill you in on the 66% of the lore that we've skipped. Alright, it's probably closer to like 50 because there's still the ending. But
Sure.
so basically, following raising the Gate of Time by learning how to play the Ballad of the Goddess with Impa in the Sealed Temple, you would fight the Imprisoned One, which we would learn is... I don't know if we actually learn it then, because the story, but the root of evil is the Imprisoned, and then we get sent on a quest to upgrade our sword, because the Goddess Sword is not powerful enough to open the Gate of Time on its own. So then we would go to the ancient, we would learn how to open the Thunderhead, which would take us to the Isle of Song, which would teach us 3 songs, Ferrari's Courage, Nehru's Wisdom, and Din's Power, which we would use to open trials in each of the 3 surface regions, which once completed would enhance our spirit and give us items that allow us to explore more of the surface region. The Farron Trial would give us the Water Dragon Scale, which allows us to swim. The Lenairu Trial would give us the Claw Shots, which we have anyway, and allows us to claw to targets and such, because they're shot out of the thing anyway. And the Elden Trial would give us the Fire Shield Earrings, which allow us to not be burned to death by heat. And then following all that, we would obtain progressively the Goddess White Sword, and the Master Sword. Then, using the Master Sword, we would awaken the Gate of Time by Skyward striking it after fighting the second iteration of the Imprisoned, which we did do, except back in time. Doing so would open the Gate of Time. We would travel back in time, like legitimately to the past.
Like using the Gate of Time.
Yeah, not back in time, the glitch. We would actually travel back in time. Where we would learn that Zelda, has traveled back in time in order to seal the King of Evil, and until we can destroy him in the present, that Zelda must remain asleep.
Nice gate clip.
Very smooth gate clip there. The side of those gates just don't have collision, by the way. So yeah, so Zelda has to like stay in like sleep stasis, hibernation, whatever it's called, keeping the seal on the imprisoned, who is actually, you know, someone else, which we'll learn later. And that sends Link on the quest to find Levias, the Sky Spirit, who tells him about the Song of the Hero, which is another 3-part quest, which would eventually lead you back to all the regions, which would be Boko Base, Flooded Faron Woods, and Lenairu Gorge for their respective song parts, which would open this trial that we are now here completing.
Actually, it's a 4-part song. You get the 4th part from Levias.
That's true. It is 4 parts. It's 3 parts in rando. Oh, 64 getting caught there. This should be fine, though.
Yeah, that was a bit scary, but yeah. As long as I can, I'm just gonna go for this so I don't risk getting caught at the very end.
And then you do this trial, and this trial gives you
What is it gonna give us?
the Stone of Trials. Whoa, it's the Stone of Trials.
Whoa!
And we don't know what the Stone of Trials does yet.
Yeah, the lore hasn't told us yet.
Yeah, but don't worry, we're gonna leave this trial, and then Fi is going to tell us.
Tell us about it.
Tell us to find another one.
Yeah.
She's like, maybe there's another one somewhere, and you should put it with the other one.
Doesn't Fi say that the stone you possess is one of a pair?
Something like that.
Yeah.
She's like, go find the other one. Oh, don't people leave. And so, wow, look at that, 64. You managed to find the other one really fast. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You're such a good puzzle solver, 64.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't
Have
know
you played
how
this
I
game
was...
before?
Are you sure you don't know the lore of this game?
So we found this cutscene is actually really awesome. So there's
Yeah.
like this like duck
Yeah.
bird thing, and it opens up its beak here, and then it just like spits out a cannonball, and it just boops Skyloft.
Yeah, it just boops the bottom of
It like stands here for a sec, like what? You know.
The cutscene is even like, what is happening? And Link is stands there unwavering, like it's gonna do something.
Yeah, and then literally the entire island just like
Falls apart.
commits nope, and and begins to fall away.
Yeah.
Yep. And with really epic music.
Yeah. I guess
And
the
then-
island doesn't really commit nope, but Skykeep just comes out and is like, by the way, I'm here.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
dungeon beneath Skyloft all along.
And then we get this really cool slow motion shot of the
Claw shot targets.
claw shot targets that are just kind of magically floating in the air.
And is just completely not referenced by anything ever. So there's no lore behind them, they just float, deal with it.
They just kind of exist. There is no lore, you're right. Also lore.
Yeah.
Anyway, big 10,000 IQ story writing where the final dungeon was actually on your hometown all
Yeah.
along, just
I
hiding
actually-
underneath the magical goddess statue.
I do really like this story beat, honestly. Especially with the lore that's gonna come along with it later.
Yeah, the lore along with it later is like if this is 10,000 IQ, it's like 700 million IQ.
Yep.
You skipped a claw shot target. SMH, stop skipping the lore.
Yeah, so much lore attached to that one claw shot target.
There's actually like a 20-minute cutscene attached to that specific claw shot target that we skipped that explains the entirety of the game.
If you choose to skip that claw shot target, Gaepora actually brings it up at the end of the game, asking Link why he elected to skip the second last claw shot target on the way.
Wait, what if that's the missing should exist flag?
Anyway, here's the map. This is the only dungeon in which the map is actually any useful. Because the core dungeon mechanic of Skykeep, that's what this dungeon is called, it's called Skykeep, is that there are 8 rooms, and they're like a sliding puzzle. Which, by the way, amazing dungeon, one of the coolest dungeons in all of Zelda right here.
This dungeon has a really, really cool mechanic, and I wish that something like this appeared in more Zelda.
Well, there's the Wind Waker sliding puzzles on the
Okay, Exto.
what is it called? Oasis Island?
Yeah, Private Oasis.
Private Oasis. Yeah, just think of all the uses of that. Dude, I actually remember going through all of those.
Yeah, me
one day.
too.
I was like, there's got to be a reward for this, and then there just wasn't, and I was like,
it was just money.
Yeah. Anyway, you move around the 8 rooms, and well, it's a dungeon, so you need to find the 3 Triforce pieces. And do we already know what happens when you find the 3rd one, or is that like a thing that just kind of happens?
I mean, well, we know that the person who possesses the gods, I think, is the way it's phrased in this game. It's kind of inconsistent across games.
Also, more in aim like this.
Come on, 64.
It's a really weird hitbox that this rope has.
Yeah, the hitbox on this is really strange.
It's like you kind of have to hit it like a bit to the left of like where you think you would have to hit it. But yeah.
Also, theoretically, you're supposed to use the hook. You don't have, so we're just gonna use the bow instead.
Yeah. Because the game expects you to have the hook beetle here. So it's like if you forget to like shoot that one the pirate there, and you don't have the hook beetle, you're kind of in a bad situation because they don't really give you a way to go backwards in this.
Can't you just claw shot back to the vines?
Yeah.
Oh, there's no way to go back after that though, because you'd be stuck on the thing.
Yeah.
On the rotatey boy.
Yeah.
The spinner. That's a word, right?
The spinny boy. Oh, you do this RBM in this category.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
The last lumpy dive, last instance of reverse bit magic, last back, and it's a lumpy dive. Yay!
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you could tell from like my last lumpy dive, like the dive controls, like basically like you have like basically full control, which is both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, it means that diving correctly in this game is 100% skill.
Yeah, the Wii remote, or Link's body, actually just assumes the position of the Wii remote in 3D space.
Assuming that your Wii remote is a properly calibrated flat center front when you when the dive started, because it assumes whatever position the start of the dive is like flat front center, and it calibrates relative to that. So like if you're holding the Wiimote like 90 degrees left and then you dive, like
you're gonna have a bad time.
You're gonna have a bad time. Notable piece of advice for this game: don't hold your Wiimote 90 to the left. You will have a bad time. Period.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like, we need the crowd control for Rando.
Yeah. Rotate your calibration. anyone who sits in a swivel chair has a huge advantage then, because they just turn their chair and just play that way.
What about 90 degrees to the right? Also, not entirely recommended.
a little more advisable than the left, but still very much a bad idea.
If you wear a pair of headphones that only has one cable going in and it goes into the left ear cup, definitely more comfortable. However,
very true.
Still not optimal.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I am currently wearing headphones that do indeed have one cable going in left ear.
Me too.
And unfortunately, my headphone jack is on the right side of my desk.
Hey, me too.
Yeah! I'm really glad that I'm not the only person with this
Dude, it just
problem.
goes straight across my keyboard.
It goes straight across my body, actually, here. But yeah. Basically.
Invert calibration. Oh dear.
What a
Inverting,
180-degree rotation.
Inverting like pitch, roll, and yaw would be.
Oh god, you have to hold the Wiimote upside down, rotated 180 degrees, both the,
I mean,
the
or just
plane.
deal with it.
Just turn like a, just fight backwards. You can't Z target, but. So that RBM is to skip the courage trial in Skykeep, which is just really long and contains, so we don't really care about it.
Yeah.
It's actually not much faster than just doing it, but it is.
No,
still
isn't it
faster.
significantly faster because you don't have to get the small key? Yes, blow the switch, 64. Very good.
Last time I checked, it was because the RBM is so long.
Okay.
Still just barely worth it.
Yeah, although that also might have been the old way we did it with Inferno.
Yeah, because we used to do it with Inferno. I think
That's
Hundo
true.
still does it in Inferno.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Hundo does it in Lumpy now, right?
Hundo, we tried to do it in Lumpy and there was some reason it didn't work. Or what? I think like something to do with like because we already had done the quest.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It
That's
wound
all
up.
I'm thinking of because I run every major category except no bit of this game.
Yeah, all dungeons does a Lumpy Pumpkin variant.
Ladders are indeed surprisingly difficult to climb up in this game.
Yes.
For a game that tries to corral you into the direction that you probably want to go rather than the direction that you're telling the game to go, ladders are very
so
difficult.
Bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Also, that jump exists, skipping the entire room. I don't know how that was missed in testing. Also, some notably precise bow shots here. You can like, if you are a very good shot, you can like shoot between the spikes, I believe, is the reason this works. Someone else on the couch here can correct me if I'm wrong about that.
I have no idea why this works. To be
Also-
perfectly honest.
Nice, perfect error, 0.
yes, I had
Did you
just enough arrows.
You
to-
had the barrel still, right? So you didn't break the barrel on the.
Yeah, I
so
still
you
had the
had
barrel as a backup.
You still had another 10.
But I'll be getting more arrows, like from another room.
Yeah, you'll get them
in a
at the
bit.
end of the power trial, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's still one more major trick.
Wait,
the last remaining
okay, good.
non-bit major trick.
For a second there, it looked like the bars were still there, and I was getting really worried.
I didn't even notice.
But no, the bars are in fact gone.
The barriers are just a suggestion. I am not surprised that that was missed in testing, because, you know, it is pretty intuitive to not shoot arrows into the barriers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some other, like, honestly, like, it's some of this gives me the feeling that parts of, like, Skykeep's a really cool dungeon. I'm not trying to knock Skykeep at all, but it does feel like some of these rooms were a little bit rushed at the end of development with...
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. I'm not...
That or all of, like, Skykeep's development resources went into the sliding tile pile.
Yeah.
Which was a good decision.
16
10 out of
development
10.
meetings, and at the end of all of them, they decided to have a sliding puzzle.
10 out of 10. Please do that again in the next Zelda game. But
And then there was one meeting on what to put in the rooms.
Yeah.
to be fair, like the rooms all have a distinct look and feel, and like match the feel of the dungeon that they're mimicking.
Awesome. Again, nice gust bellows. Yeah, sometimes like item wheel, like trying to select things quickly.
Yeah, it can be a little finicky sometimes. Positioning of your calibration.
So here we have a new trick. We have the only useful instance of vine clipping in the entirety of Skyward Sword. So vine clipping does work on like pretty much any flat wall vines, I believe.
Yeah, I believe that is correct.
But the catch is that, as you'll see here, 64 is going to gravel here and then fall down and land on,
Nice,
for sure. Nothing, but he'll land on it.
This room is also just a suggestion.
But the reason that he can land on nothing down there is because of the lava in this room. So any room that has lava has like some random floor beneath it for some reason.
For some reason. The same is true in Elven Volcano, though.
And so if you do a vine clip in a room that doesn't have lava, then you just void out. Which, needless to say, is fairly useless. But it is useful here, and only here.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's only useful here. I
You're
thought
right.
it landed on lore.
Landed on pure lore underneath the room.
The pure concentrated energy of the lore gift.
That room has no lore and it's boring.
Yeah, that
To be
room is
perfectly honest,
supremely boring.
that room is like a 4-minute auto scroller. So it's actually really nice that we can skip it, because that is like the most boring room in the game.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think we mentioned it, but like the sliding tile puzzle is pretty much scripted in speedruns. Like we just do the same thing every time because it's the same every time.
Yeah.
And this is the optimal path. It completely skips the Earth Temple room.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you what the Earth Temple room is.
I think it's a magma mitts puzzle.
Yeah, it's a magma mitts puzzle, and like it's this, there's a puzzle, there's another puzzle you have to solve where you have to like hit switches in a certain order, and it's really slow, so it's for very good reason that it is skipped in speedruns.
I have been told that there are like silver rubies in that room that could be randomized in rando in the potential future, but that's the only reason I've ever been.
I don't think it's that room. I think it's the power room. There's like one silver rupee that.
I thought there was some freestanding something.
There might be in that room. Like I haven't like. Again, I have.
When was the last time you went into that room? 64.
Yeah, like 2014.
I think that's probably the last time I went in. So.
Yeah. So kind of glossed over it, but there was a somewhat precise bow shot there. That is fun fact. That is the only trick in Skyward Sword that was discovered by ZFG. There's ZFG that is still useful.
ZFG. Careful, Exto, your Canadian is showing.
Oh no. See, I normally say ZFG because, like, ZFG is his name, but once in a while I say ZFG accidentally.
Because your brain is just like, yeah, Zed.
Yeah, exactly. That's just what it is. It's just a Z.
I was like, who is ZFG? And then you... and I was like, oh, yeah. My brain processed it as two completely different people.
Yeah. Somebody names themselves ZFG just to screw with people.
Gotta love Zelda fangirl.
Okay, and now, like 9 minutes of cutscenes. We are
Oh,
back
yeah.
on the
Yeah.
lore train.
Actually 9 minutes of cutscene. ZFG is
Just
taken.
taken. No way. I want it.
Twitch.tv/ZFG. Let's learn about this person. We don't know much about them, but we're sure they're great. Thanks, Twitch.
So this is actually like really cool. What happens?
This is like
here.
one of the coolest. We say this about like every cutscene, but this game's cutscenes are great in general. This is a really cool cutscene.
So Link like has the Triforce or something, you know.
Yeah, he does.
And now
He gets to make his wish,
yeah.
and he wishes for the eradication of. Do we know what we're wishing for the eradication?
Yeah, I think the
it-
game tells you
demise.
before you go on the Song of the Hero quest that it is demise.
Okay, I can remember if it was demise or like if it was just like the king of E.
Yeah, it's in the long cutscene that we skipped of where normally you go finally meet Zelda and you get the true Master Sword, and that's when you learn that it's demise.
We should have done that for the marathon just so we could for the 8-minute cutscene.
Yeah,
It's so long.
That
But-
cutscene is absurdly long, but then we wouldn't have the fun Goddess Sword Horde.
yes. By the way, we get 0 sword upgrades in this category, so I will be doing the end game with the Goddess Sword, which is
Bad.
yes.
It's bad. Also, so the Sky Keep and the goddess statue just fell beneath the clouds.
Yep,
Which-
defying geography, by the way, because it like the faired pillar where we landed to the sealed grounds is like 16 miles from where the goddess statue is.
And it plugs the sealed grounds. How cool is that?
Yeah.
It's like it was here. It's like the exact shape needed to plug the sealed grounds, and it looks like it belongs to you. Dude, how cool is that? So cool.
Also, squish.
And now it's all bright and happy, and the game's over.
Yeah, because clearly we've just defeated demise. Because
Yeah,
we just squashed him with a gigantic goddess statue.
Dude. Earlier, the imprisoned stepped on us.
No, we step.
We step on the imprisoned.
Yeah. And so yeah, I mean we've still got lore. So timer's still running.
Yep. Not quite done yet.
Yeah. We still have actually a decent chunk of cutscene left. That's
Yeah,
like the
there's
halfway
a-
point of this cutscene.
There's a lot of cutscene. There's
Yeah.
a lot of cutscene and some fairly long end game still left. How far from end are we?
So okay, in seriousness, we're about
half an hour.
yeah, about a half an hour.
30 minutes, yeah. If all goes well.
Yeah. I mean, there's, as I said, like, we're not getting any sword upgrades, so these endgame fights can like there is a possibility I could die in these endgame fights, which would cost time, obviously. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but I will have to deal with some RNG as far as heart drops, because I will be taking some intentional damage. and hoping to be able to get health back from random heart drops.
Yeah, now, the counterpoint to having not gotten any sword upgrades is that this is normal mode, so you do take half damage. So 64 is used to taking twice as much damage per hit.
And not having heart drops.
And not having heart drops.
Unless it's rando, but that's besides the point.
Yeah. There.
Also, the what do you call these?
Crystals?
Amber? What are they called?
Amber, yeah, amber. Like the amber crystal.
Yeah. It broke, and look, a Zelda popped out.
Yeah, because basically...
The amber gave birth to a Zelda.
Yep, clearly that's what happened here.
Yeah, the
It's
Zelda
finally
from the
over.
legend.
Supposedly. Zelda's gonna very slowly walk down the stairs, the 4 stairs, and then fall over.
There goes the Zelda.
Yeah, well...
Also, I'm pretty sure Link was like halfway across the temple when she started falling and like teleported over there.
Yeah, well, video game logic.
Lore conveniences.
Yeah.
Oh, how cute. Also, we didn't really mention this. We kind of left Groose as like this jerk, but Groose actually has wild character development throughout the course of the game, and he is no longer a jerk.
Yeah. After the imprisoned one fight, he is in awe at like Link's heroic prowess, and decides that he wants to help him, but he's still arrogant about it. But you know, he's no longer being a jerk to Link and bullying Link because he understands what's going on a lot more.
Well, yeah, I mean, what happens is, like, directly after Imprisoned 1, he's all upset because he doesn't think he can amount to anything, and then Impa tries to convince him otherwise, and eventually does, which causes Groose to build the racetracks around the, that allows him to build the Groosinator. However... Game's not over. Here's Girahim.
Yeah. We told you it wasn't over yet.
Strategically placed behind the pillar.
Yeah.
That clearly nobody could have... Clearly there's no way anybody could have seen him while walking towards, yeah, where, the back of the temple where Zelda was.
I don't think I ever noticed it before, but his eye is, like, destroyed in this cutscene, and... Like, funnily enough, like, you attack him, like, in the right side of his face when you fight him. So, like, that's pretty cool consistency. Like, you can see, like, the cracks on his face.
Well, you don't have to attack him on the right side.
No, I think, like, that's where you target to when you Z-target.
Yeah, and then Link conveniently just can't, like, or is, like, too tired to do anything at this precise moment.
He was just blasted by the same blast from Girahim that knocked Zelda out cold. So, give Link credit for even being awake at this point.
Yeah, fair point.
But now this goddess-serving dog is escaping with the girl.
Mm-hmm.
That's the... Okay, nobody got it. That's the...
Oh, I understood the goddess-serving dog joke.
That's the text before Scaldera. The goddess-serving dog escaped with the girl! I must have the spirit maiden!
Yeah. Little bit missed there.
Anyway.
Yeah, so now I'm going to be hunting for an RNG bomb drop here, and it's already not looking good. It's really dumb that the contents of these pots are RNG for some reason. And they all had useless junk, so I'm going to have to reload it. Because I really want full bombs going into Horde. Which is the next thing that I have to do. So luckily I can just reload by going into the Gate of Time and then going back through the Gate of Time.
Wouldn't it have been faster to just reload with the normal doors?
I don't think you
definitely.
can get in because we never properly unlocked the sealed temple, so I'm pretty sure if I leave I can't get back in.
Oh.
Because, like, remember when we, way long at the beginning of this run where we skipped all of sealed grounds?
You probably can't even leave.
Yeah, you probably can't leave the right from the side door.
By the way, no pots anywhere, and then, like, the pots just magically appear at the very end of the load.
Oh, that's funny.
I do find it really interesting that, like, the shading just drastically changes when we after the load.
Okay. Got my bomb drop. So I tried to do a tech skip there, but I unfortunately botched the jump slash, so I jump slashed into it instead of picking it up during the jump slash, which would have skipped the text.
If you're in the air when a cutscene tries to play, the game like doesn't play it.
Well, it waits a while and then it gives up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna save just because in the event that I were to die, I would like to have all my equipment back for retrying it.
Yeah, shield and sword, as if the resetting is gonna give you that upgrade.
But okay, this cutscene is the entire reason that we have to beat Skykeep in this category, because we can't skip this cutscene in normal mode. In hero mode, we can completely skip Skykeep and all of its prerequisites because we can just RBM that door that we just went through open, and then we can skip this cutscene because the cutscene will be broken, but it doesn't matter because we can skip it. But here, the whole reason we had to beat Skykeep was to put this area in the correct layer so this cutscene can play. So.
You know, if Link had started running down the spiral, like right when he got out here, he'd be down there.
Yeah,
No
well,
convenience.
yeah. There's a barrier of plot convenience that he can't get through until this cutscene finishes playing.
Also, these bokoblins get up the spiral insanely fast.
Yeah. Also, dark, ominous clouds just happening to form right at this moment.
I chalk that up to Girahim.
Yeah, fair point.
Also, the really epic camera shot.
Yeah, like that cutscene is actually really epic. So welcome to the Hyrule Warriors tech demo.
Plot Lord's greatest enemy.
Yeah. So now what I'm gonna do is gonna seem stupid, but I'm just gonna take out a bomb, get in the middle of these guys, and then let that bomb explode and kill a lot of these bokoblins. I'm gonna do that a second time.
That should have
Yeah,
at least
so-
one blue cap.
Normally, you would use your Skyward Strike here because generally you either A, are in hero mode, so you have the upgraded Skyward Strike, or B, have the true Master Sword, in which case you have it. But you may notice that neither of the following are true. So, we'd have to revert to some pretty interesting strategies here.
Yeah. You can alternatively just like hack and slash your... Pretty effective as well, I have found.
Yeah,
Look at all
okay.
these hearts.
Yeah.
Did you miss a shot? Because there's a blue cap Boko left.
I'm gonna grab that heart too, just because we're not done yet.
Yeah, we're nowhere near done with the horde.
Yeah, that's
Well,
just...
we might be. We'll find out.
Yeah. So there's a trick coming up called Horde Skip. And so I'm going to be trying to get myself in a position here where when this moblin spawns, I can climb up the moblin and jump over the barrier. Ah, just short. That's really unfortunate.
Ooh.
And the worst part is one of the moblins was still alive, but it looks like it was just one of them, and he took some damage from the bomb but didn't die.
Yeah, that's unfortunate when it doesn't kill all three.
Yeah, but it could have been a lot worse. Like,
Yeah,
that's actually...
I've had setups fail and leave all three moblins.
I think the biggest question I have about the Horde is why can't you use the beetle?
Yeah, why specifically did they take away the...
I don't know, Leppy had a theory, I forget what it is.
Didn't that have something to do with, like, the beetle being able to trigger barriers or something? I can't recall if that was what it was or not. Oh god, I can't imagine how long this barrier is gonna take in normal mode. It already takes ages in hero mode.
What happens if you shoot the blue Bokoblin with the bow?
It will actually deal damage to him, and basically what I want to do is clear out some of these other ones so that they don't bug me while I'm trying to deal with shoot the blue Boko. Also, you can see how many hits the blue capped Bokos take. But yeah, so I can just do that and pelt him with arrows.
Oh, he's dead. Well, that went well.
The arrows deal significantly more damage than my sword.
Yeah, an uncharged bow shot deals what, like 40 damage? No, it's not 40. I think it's 20.
Which is a lot.
Okay, this is probably the hardest barrier, I'd say.
Yeah, this barrier is awful if you get bad RNG with the Stalfos.
That's not the item I wanted. So...
Yes, get the Gospels, blow the Bokoblins.
Blow them over. They'll never see it coming.
No one ever saw the Gospels. I mean...
Yeah, Girahim would definitely never not summon ominous clouds during an epic battle.
Absolutely. Girahim is all about that ambience.
So yeah, you can probably tell, we've said it a couple times, this fight is really stupid with the Goddess Sword.
This fight is stupid without true Master Sword, period. Even just regular Master Sword can go so wrong in so many ways.
But once again, normal mode means that he is taking half damage, and he does have heart spawns. So,
yeah,
hasn't used the potion and it's still at 7.
Is 64 taking half damage, or does hero mode double damage?
Yeah, he's taking half damage. Hero mode is the standard.
For us, yes.
Yeah, so he's taking half damage.
Oh, nice archer strat there, not getting hit. That's pretty good. A perfect, like, last barrier, so... Well, so far, at least.
Yeah. I mean, this is the last barrier.
Yeah.
You can see the ominous black smoke in the center there. That's not supposed to be there right now. It's actually there because of the sealed ground skip we did, like, 2.5 hours ago.
Yeah, legitimately. No, it's probably... Yeah, imagine it. That's probably correct. Legitimately. And it also is laggy.
It's very laggy, and you'll see that later.
We just saw it just now as well.
We'll see it even more later.
Yeah, we'll see it during the Girahim 3 fight coming up. Oh, spoiler alert, we're gonna fight Girahim again. I think it was pretty obvious, honestly.
Not getting the shield equip again.
Yeah, unfortunate. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I was trying to do it, but like yeah, it just like...
It looked like that you got it, but it looks like the animation of you...
Also, this is sick with the black smoke.
Yeah!
I mean, the black smoke honestly sets a really good atmosphere, even though it's not supposed to be there. Like, so I think like, this is a completely separate map from the regular sealed ground spiral, but I think they did a big copy paste and they forgot to remove the actor for the black smoke from that.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. So
It's a valid assumption that it won't be there.
I mean, yeah. It's also possible that it was intentionally changed the ending.
true.
Like they might have been part of the ritual.
And yeah, so this is kind of where in the lore, so now we have Girahim kind of in his true form, and we'll see in a little bit when he's done with his monologue. Yeah, there. So that he does
He's like Fi, but bad.
yeah.
Yeah, he's evil 5.
He is basically demises Fi.
That attack just didn't connect with you at all. That was weird. Also, yes, he's doing it. We don't have the harp, which is traditionally what we do is fight during the brief downtime. So we usually just style on Girahim by playing the harp. But we don't have the harp, so we just blow him instead.
Yeah.
It's also slightly faster. You do see him jumping down after knocking Girahim down to the lower platform. It's not as cool, because the huge ending blow is super sick, but it is slightly faster.
Yeah.
However, we do get to jump on Girahim's face from that angle, which is pretty funny.
Yep. Okay, so this part of the fight was going kind of for me in practice today, so I hope I can at least execute the optimal strat for this at least once just to show it off. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, there was a really cool strat figured out relatively recently for randomizers that where you can chain. So we knew that you could chain Skyward Strike stuns off of him using the instant charge of the True Master Sword, but what we didn't know is that you could also do it with the regular Master Sword, which doesn't have instant Skyward Strikes, by charging it in advance and then shield bashing an attack and doing a Skyward Stab to start the chain stun, and then repeating the process again. It's a little tighter on the repeat since, you know, it's not instant, and you are on a bit of a time limit on the stun duration.
Yeah, also, this phase is 4 times longer than normal with this sword.
Yeah. The entire second and third phases are both going to be 4 times longer than normal because they are damage-based, and compared to the Master Sword, the Goddess Sword deals 1/4 of the damage. Your damage is, if it was Practice Sword, it would be 1/8, which is even worse.
Also, you wretched brat. Which is what he says on English.
Yeah. We're wretched brats, apparently.
So this is interesting because I really want to lure him outside of this evil aura because of how much it lags. Which is why you might see me wait a little bit, plus to kind of recoup some of my stamina. Okay, this wasn't too bad, but here I want to back off a little bit.
Having shield here is a huge deal for this fight. Or for this phase, especially.
It never ends.
Every time you stab, I'm like, yeah, that's tick, right? We're done. And then I'm like, oh yeah. This...
Yeah, I'm not gonna...
One more, I think.
It should be 8 total, and I believe it is. Oh,
I was wrong.
one more?
Yeah.
Hey!
Yay, we did it. First try Girahim 3.
And I somehow golded that split.
Nice.
GG's. Alright, and now we are on to, there's what, like, this is like, what, like a 3-minute cutscene? No, there's more than 3 minutes now, right?
My last
like...
split is 9.5 minutes, or
okay. I think that's what my gold is as well.
Yeah, because it's mostly cutscene.
Yeah.
So,
It's like 8 minutes cutscene, 1.5 minute boss fight.
Yeah. So basically, during this fight, now Giriam's saying, like, during that whole fight, his ritual finished, so now he is, now we're going to see the imprisoned again.
Yeah. Zelda will turn into 64. Dust. The big bean.
The avocado.
The sus avocado. Because, I guess, like, Gymnast said that he thought that the imprisoned kind of looks like a crewmate from Among Us. So now we call him the sus avocado.
Yeah, so he inhales Zelda, which is, you know, probably not on Zelda's to-do list.
Getting inhaled is not our to-do list.
Yeah. And of course, Girahim's super excited. Because he has accomplished his goal. The entire game, Girahim's goal has been to resurrect Demise.
More cool mist.
Yeah.
And now we kind of get into areas of the cutscene where the black smoke is still there. It is still going to cause some lag in this cutscene.
Yeah. But it is a pretty nice ambience.
Yeah. And then I think now is where we find out that Girahim is actually Demise's Fi, because the game...
Although Fi doesn't seem to be able to exist without the sword. Like, the sword doesn't exist inside of Fi, but...
Yeah, like, Girahim seems to be the sword, but
Yeah.
Fi seems to live within the sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, never mind, because he pulls the sword out of him. Yeah, forgot about this. He just like, pulls it out of him.
This does not look like it's comfortable for Girahim.
Yeah, he looks like he's not having a great time.
Yeah.
But then this happens, which is, you know...
This is like what's supposed to tell you. Like, if anything else has left any doubt, this is what tells you that Girahim is Demise's Fi, is that he is absorbed into the sword.
Pretty cool sword.
His sword also has an upside-down Triforce, which I always thought...
Very big sword. It's like one Link tall.
Yep, and then we see Link with his dinky goddess sword.
Dinky goddess sword!
I mean, what other, like, better way to just style on Demise than beating him with the dinky goddess sword?
I could do you one better. Beat him with the dinky practice sword.
It's even shorter.
Yeah, I mean, technically, like, I was thinking, like, it might not be possible. By the way, here's Groose, which automatically makes this one of the best cutscenes in the game.
Yeah. Oh, not to mention that this is one of the best cutscenes either.
Yep.
But,
Roar!
like, say that for every cutscene.
Yeah, I know. Every cutscene is the best cutscene because they're all good.
And yeah, I mean, I think Demise is supposed to, like, look really similar to Ganondorf. Like, that was 100% intentional.
Now Link wants to fight, but Demise is like, nah, if you want to fight, you gotta come fight me in my homeland.
I don't know if it's his homeland, but I think it's on his terms, I think is what he says.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or
Link's just like, okay.
Yeah, I think what the game says is, like, let's go somewhere without distractions. And by the way, lore! Yeah. And this is Groose basically saying, like, you have some time where before Demise completely finishes absorbing Zelda's soul.
Yeah.
which is basically what's supposed to tell you that like, or it's supposed to give you some sense of urgency.
But you can also just leave this area and not do.
You
Yeah.
can actually do that a surprising amount of times in the game. Like the imprisoned one,
Yeah.
if you just like try and leave the sealed grounds, Impa is like, "Hey, don't leave," and then she's like, "Oh, you have something to do first? Yeah, sure, go ahead."
You're going to get supplies. You better hurry back.
You better hurry back.
Yeah,
Like, you can just leave the imprisoned one.
Yeah, the any percent that Exo is familiar with did that for the longest time because it could open the Thunderhead early, and that's the only reason you needed to beat Imp 1. So it just like, so you literally just like noped out and then came back later and overwrote Imp 1 with Imp 2.
Yeah, which is really cool, conceptually.
Yeah. So, unlike the previous two bosses, like, there's not too much difference in the Demise fight. The Demise fight is still pretty scripted with even with the Goddess Sword, because it's hit-based rather than damage-based, but you do have to stand closer to Demise because the Goddess Sword is significantly shorter, so...
Which leads to the strat sometimes being just like a tad inconsistent, but we should be fine here.
Yeah.
Especially with shield.
Yeah.
I would say that the shorter sword actually makes it quite a bit more difficult. Because I find that the knockback on Demise is surprisingly large.
Yeah, it is insane how far he gets knocked back.
Yeah.
It is
Also...
at least like 1/20th of Link.
1/20th of a Link. What do you call that? Like Link? Like, is that the length of a person? From their back to their chest.
the width of a Link. The depth of a Link. That's
well, like
it.
width would be shoulder to shoulder, right?
Yeah, depth would be front to back.
Yeah. So... Yeah, this cutscene's pretty epic, because this is where, like... So Demise is just, like, saying, yeah, like, if you lose this fight, I'm going to just, destroy everyone and take over and take the Triforce and all that, and it sets the atmosphere here. Yeah. The atmosphere that's being ruined by my co-commentators talking about 1/20th of Link.
Anyway, it's a sick fight.
1/20th of a Link is a tiny URL.
That's what I'm laughing at.
That's what we've been laughing at.
I only just looked at chat.
So
To be fair, I have to actually pay some attention to the game. Okay, this is not going quite to plan. Okay, we're gonna reset that.
Yes, the Demise fight is 100% consistent, or at least in theory.
Yeah.
As long as you hit the hits the proper way, it is consistent.
That just goes through you.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, I guess we're shield stratting this.
Oh no, these strats. There you go.
Okay. There we go, now we go. Oh, he got the slash strat.
Okay, this is gonna be awkward, but...
double hit. There, okay, we're through the phase apparently.
The time coming up in like 30 seconds, by the way.
Yeah, time will be when we stab through Demise's chest.
Time.
GG.
GG.
Yeah.
What was the final time?
According to my splits, it's 3:43:10.
Nice.
So that's about 6 minutes slower than my PB, but considering marathon run, a couple things, like I crashed at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like
Not at all that bad.
yeah.
A 3:43 is a very respectable time in this category, I think. I mean, we don't have much to compare to. Strikes me as a respectable time.
Yeah. So then this is at the very end, Demise basically curses Link and Zelda into a cycle with no end, where basically a spirit of his hatred will follow them through the ages, and basically foreshadowing Ganon.
Well, yeah, he becomes Ganon, yeah, eventually.
Yeah, and then we have like the 3 timeline shenanigans.
And we don't talk about it that much.
Yeah.
Because in the 3rd timeline, Ganon just doesn't exist anymore, and we don't really think about it. Actually, I guess that's because Link in Wind Waker defeats him, but...
Well, it's still foreshadowing, because if you talk about chronological order,
Yeah, and
Skyward Sword
timeline order
is first. Although I personally do not give 2 hoots about the timeline.
I think the timeline is neat. I think it's a little...
Yeah. Yes, he cursed them both with endless lore.
Also, we now have the True Master Sword. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, now we get to inhale Demise instead.
I have confirmed the eradication of the Demon King. The remnants of his spirit are sealed away, are now contained within the Master Sword and sealed away. Also, now we get some like the best music in the game. Okay, I can't say that because I say everything about this game is the best every time we see the next thing. I was just saying some of the best music, but there is better music.
Yeah, also lore!
Lord.
I don't know how much longer we will be sticking on the ending of Skyward Sword, but there is some pretty sick lore coming up. Not gonna lie. I genuinely don't remember what this conversation is about.
Well, in a second, it's gonna be well, in a second, we all know what it's gonna be. Wait, actually, I think did we just go past that text box? Did we go past the Legend of Garus?
No, I think that's coming out.
Okay. No, I think we passed it.
Yeah, okay. Maybe we passed it. Also, Fi calling Zelda Hylia.
As the goddess. Her role as the goddess.
And then Fi telling Link that now, with his quest over, he needs to... Basically, her role is done, and saying that he needs to put the Master Sword away, or what's supposed to be the Master Sword. Actually, I think... Is it the Master Sword in this cutscene? I can't quite tell.
No, it's the Goddess Sword right now.
I actually don't think I've like watched it all the way through to this point.
In normal, I don't think I have either.
Yeah, so it'll be really interesting to see like what this actually looks like after Link slams it into the ground.
Now's the Master Sword.
Okay.
Oh, it literally just changed.
Yep.
I wonder if like this is like the transition to like the scenes or not. Because I don't know where it actually happens.
I guess it happens right there.
But we also get the True Master Sword at the end of the Demise cutscene, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I think it looks like it's just inconsistent.
He still has the Goddess Sword sheath though.
Yeah, it just keeps putting it like it keeps giving and taking the item for True Master Sword.
Also, I believe this is the only time in the game where Fi gives a probability of 100%.
I believe that is correct as well.
I don't remember What is a 100%
I think going
probability
into
of?
the, I think also going into the demise portal. Well, I think
Oh
in
yeah,
English,
there's a 100% probability that you will not be able to.
I thought that was like 99.9.
maybe I think like on the, it's, it is different on the JP version, but in English, I think it's a different percentage because I think the text is different.
Thank you, Master Lore. May we meet again in another life. You can have some fun naming Link there. Thank you,
Yeah.
Master Chef.
Thank you, Master Chief.
Yeah. Ooh, I believe it is almost time for some of the spiciest lore.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the most awesome lore.
Zelda really wants Impa to come back with them, but Impa belongs to this time period.
And so Zelda's sad, but Zelda decides to give Impa something. Right? That's what happens, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct.
After a bunch of
Correct, that is
text.
what happens. She gives her one of her bracelets. And Impa takes it.
And then they leave.
Back to the present with them. They are no longer back in time.
Yep.
And then...
But wait, there's still more.
Almost done. After this, I guess we can...
Yeah, pretty much after this. This is the last bit of spicy lore coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, basically just this little cutscene.
Link and Groose are excited to see Grandma. Or Granny.
Yep. And then on her wrist,
She has the bracelet. It was Impa the whole time. Ah. Mind blown.
Zelda's like... Zelda's the only one who seems to have noticed. Everyone else is just like, Granny!
Yeah, and with that was Skyward Sword normal mode any percent.
The most amount of lore you'll ever get in Skyward Sword speedrunning. Unless, you know, you run like no bit normal mode or something.
yeah, or 100% normal mode.